last year and now this year. So it's back-to-back. So now he's a mainstay, I guess, there in the Time 100. But I would say that she is as influential in sports as anybody has been over the last year. If we're talking about the 100 most influential people, if we're having a sports category, is she more influential? Like this year, I think you can make a pretty good argument that she was more influential in sports than Patrick Mahomes was this year.
If you're talking about growing the game,
yeah,
then yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
if you're talking about just growing the game, yeah, I mean, she was. But as far as
2 years ago, there were 4 million people watching the national championship game for the women. Last year, there was 9 million. This year, there were 19 million. That's Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes has done great things for the Chiefs, and the NFL has been awesome, but he's one of many players in the NFL that play and can make an impact. I love that he's one of the most 100 most influential people. That's awesome because he's here in Kansas City. That's great. And I don't know, maybe Caitlin Clark is a part of it. I haven't seen it. I've only seen that Patrick Mahomes is a part of it. But I think Twitter would have had, those pictures if she was on it as well. But I just thought about that as, we were going to bring up the fact that Mahomes is on. Mahomes is, for the first time, one of the cover athletes.
Sure.
One of the cover people. I also don't know how many cover, people they have for the 100 most influential people. But he wasn't in 20 and he wasn't in 23. He is now.
It is crazy that the most influential player in the most popular game in America, probably second most popular game in the world. Again, if we're saying soccer is one world, football might be two.
Yeah.
And he plays in Kansas City.
It's amazing.
Like if you look around the NBA or the NFL right now, just poll a random fan. Who's the one guy people are going to point to? It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
How wild. Like me growing up cannot fathom the fact that the most influential player in the entire NFL plays for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Here's what's awesome, also amazing of the last year, is if you had somebody say, a random fan, Patrick Mahomes, the second choice might be Travis Kelce because of Taylor Swift. Like that over the last year.
Yeah.
Like the first and second most popular or name a football player.
Yeah.
That might be first. Because of some fans,
you're right.
Agreed. Yeah.
To football,
right? Like if you were on Family Feud, name a professional football player. Travis Kelce. Survey says Travis Kelce, number 2 or number 1, whatever it might be. Like those might be the top 2. If it's name a current professional, Tom Brady. No, that is incorrect. Not current. He's not current anymore. Aaron Rodgers, maybe, but he was gone all last year. Right? I mean, he's been gone upstairs for a while, but he was gone last year from the actual game and not playing. So it is fascinating that choice 1 and 2 might be people that live right down the street.
Yeah.
In the most popular and
they live down the street from you now too? Oh, Jason, wow.
I meant like as a collective group
wow,
here
they
in
live down the
Kansas City.
street from Jason with his multiple TVs.
They do not live down the street
that
from
he
me.
can carry because he's very strong.
I can promise you this. There is a street that I could go down to get to Loch Lloyd. It just ain't near where I live. So, all right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Let's talk some Royals. They sit at 11-6 now. Brady Singer and his sub-1 ERA go into the mound tonight against yet another pitcher making his Major League Baseball debut against the Royals, this time for the White Sox. Jonathan Cannon, their 8th best prospect in their minor league system, making his MLB debut tonight. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some Royals baseball. We got Adam Teicher at 11 o'clock, Les Norman at noon, Todd Lebo 1 o'clock, more Zone next.
Graduation season.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Adam Teicher joins us coming up at 11 o'clock. Les Norman at noon. Todd Lebo in the 1 o'clock hour. Good news on Salvi. One of the things we'll talk with Les Norman about. The MRI on Salvi, Matt Quattrero said, came back the best possible result they could hope for. It is a low-grade strain, and he will not go on the IL. He will stay with the big league club. Logan Porter as the taxi squad, just in case they need somebody to play. But Salvi will not be on the IL and could be back soon. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe coming up on Thursday. Maybe tonight.
I don't know if you saw what Salvi posted on Twitter last night.
Was it about the WNBA? If not, then I probably didn't see it.
No.
Okay.
Someone posted and tweeted at him, said, "I'm coming all the way from Puerto Rico to see the Royals in Chicago, and now Salvador Perez is injured. Why? What did I do to deserve this?" And then Salvador Perez replies, "I'm back tomorrow, okay?"
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go.
That's what Salvi said 19 hours ago, so that would be today. Take that as you will. I don't know if Salvador Perez actually has the final say in this. Sure looks like the correct account, considering Salvador Perez has 552,000 followers.
That would be an odd parody account.
Odd parody account who just puts the muscle sign and fire sign, and who responds to Eric Hosmer on it. But yes, according to Salvador Perez, the source himself says, "I'm back tomorrow, okay," and that was yesterday. So,
well, I mean, maybe it's time. I mean, if Velasquez gets a day off, wouldn't be anything wrong with that. He's 4 for his last 17. And he's and no extra base hits in that time. He's going the other way, which is nice, and it's one of the things I was going to talk to Les Norman about. Is he's fallen below 300, which is fine because he's Nelson Velasquez. Batting 296 ain't the worst thing in the world for him. But the concern I would have, and we'll ask Les about this, is how sustainable it is for Nelson Velasquez that he's gone now since April 9th, so that's 7 games without an extra base hit for Nelson Velasquez, but he's also swinging and missing at 43% of the time, which is 11% higher than last year. Yeah. So while he's batting 300, he's been pretty boom or bust. It's all or nothing. He's putting the ball in play and getting hits, or he's just swinging and missing at it. He's in the 2 percentile of whiff percentage in Major League Baseball right now. So he probably could use a day off. He probably, Salvi, go ahead and play DH. If Salvi's returning today, as he said on Twitter last night, and ready to go and only missed 1 game, then maybe you fill in for Nelson Velasquez and go out there and give him a break, for a day or whatever. He does have a couple of walks in that time, but he's also got 10 Ks over that time. But it's nice to see him going the other way. So he's not just dead pull, but he's also swinging and missing at a lot of pitches right now, which I think if that keeps up, then what he's been doing at the plate can't keep up.
Yeah,
it would be my guess. Maybe
sure.
I'm wrong. I'll ask Les about that, and maybe he'd be like, "Nah, look at some of these other guys." I mean, I shouldn't mention it, Joey Gallo, because at one time Joey Gallo was hitting tanks, right, and 35 home runs or whatever. Well, he's batting 200, Max Muncy 200, but he's going to get you 40 bombs, right? But he's going to swing and miss at a lot of things, right?
And get on base at a 380 clip whilst playing Gold Glove. Joey Gallo was a Gold Glover. He was phenomenal in the field.
So I mean, it's not exactly that way, but we'll ask Les Norman about that.
And this is why I said yesterday, you asked if I thought the Royals offense was sustainable or this volatile. And I said, yeah. And I go, yes, this is who they are. There's only about 3 guys who I think on a weekly basis, because it's baseball, there's always going to be ups and downs, ebbs and flows, but Bobby Witt, Vinny, and Salvi are the 3 guys who I go consistently week in, week out, you're going to count on those guys. Michael, for the most part, I think you want to count on. Again, not necessarily he's been struggling mightily.
Yeah.
Nelson, I think the approach is better, but again, you're mentioning the strikeout rate, which I think is always going to be a fairly decent strikeout rate for him. MJ is going to be prone to ups and downs, although, again, he's had a really nice start to his season. He's starting to come back to earth a little bit as well. Again, when you break it down, I think there's 3 guys you count on with a lot of upside in other guys. I think Michael, again, has upside. Vinny has, Nelson has upside. MJ has a ton of upside. I don't know where I land yet on Nick Lofton. Still kind of trying to figure that out. Hunter Renfroe has a lot of variance in his game. It's who this team is. They're going to be a team that's prone to going in these slumps of scoring 0, 1, and 2, and also prone to breaking out 8, 9, 10. Again, this is nothing crazy that I'm saying right now. I think a lot of teams can make the same case. I just think the Royals will be more volatile offensively than the majority of Major League Baseball. What behooves them is the fact that their starting pitching is so good that they're taking advantage of a team like the White Sox, right? You might not beat the Dodgers 2-0, but you'll beat the White Sox. They're taking advantage of the matchups. Seth Lugo, again, the metrics aren't super kind to him this year.
It's just not striking a bunch of guys out.
But end of the day, when you're getting this week of contact consistently, I don't know if it's consistent over a multi-season. I think Brad Keller might be a decent comp. When Brad Keller had that 1 year where he was getting weak contact, everyone goes, well, how is this sustainable? Well, you can do it for a year or two.
I don't think Seth Lugo is a 1 ERA guy, so that's going to change, certainly. But I think he's closer to a guy that can go at you and get you a quality start more often than not than he is a guy that's just going to start getting shelled like a Brad Keller, that it seemed to be all smoke and mirrors. And looking at quality starts, I think since – gosh, what was the stat last night? I should have wrote it down. It was something like since July or August, he's one of the top 5 in quality starts, Seth Lugo. So this is simply what he's been doing. This is who he is. And it's one of the more underrated signings, 25 2/3 innings, and he's given up 3 earned runs this year.
And it's really great for him. I know we can look at the age and say, with the age, is he going to start regressing? But he also didn't really become a starting pitcher until later on in his career.
Yeah.
He was a reliever the majority of his career. I've been very impressed with Seth, and again, he's not going to be a great strikeout pitcher, but I do think that the weak contact can continue based on the amount of movement he gets on his pitches. Sinker, obviously very solid, but it's the curveball that really stands out. You saw it dancing last night. I do think the ball in general was dancing last night for a lot of pitchers. If you watch Leisure last night, he threw a changeup in on the hands on Bobby, and I go, man, that thing is moving. There was a lot of movement on the ball last night.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ball was not carrying out very well. I thought even Nicky Lopez almost got one.
Yeah, he did.
Off of
I thought he did too. MacArthur.
Was that MacArthur? And just died. Bobby Witt Jr. came 5 feet from a grand slam. Even the pitcher who threw it, I believe that may have been, I don't know if that was Dominic Leone or Nastrini, the starter. But I was laughing because the pitcher put his head down, and it was just like, oh man, that's gone.
I'm going to go from giving up 2 earned runs to 6.
And it just died right on the warning track. The ball just was not carrying, which makes Vinny's bomb even more impressed. The fact that thing was that was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Polo Grounds would have had trouble keeping that one in.
Curtis Seabolt's tweet last night, the White Sox are now the 15th team ever to lose 14 of their first 16 games, and the first since the 2010 Orioles. So it's been 14 years since a team has started this bad as the White Sox, and half their games they've scored 1 or fewer runs.
Man,
in those 16 games. The 2024 White Sox 2-14, 2010 Baltimore Orioles 2-14. 2003 Detroit Tigers 1-15. By the way, just skipped over all of those Royals teams that we would have totally guessed would have been on this list. 1997 Chicago Cubs 2-14. 1992 Royals 1-15. And then the worst start in Major League Baseball history, the 88 Baltimore Orioles 0-16. That wasn't the last of their O. They had a few more. But yeah, this White Sox team, and the Royals still have 2 more against them. So go and get these 2 games against the White Sox before it gets really daunting, because their next 19 games after they play the White Sox, these next 2 are against Baltimore, Toronto, Detroit, and Texas. And Milwaukee. And I throw Milwaukee in there as well. Those are teams leading their division. And there's 2 series in there against Toronto. So they've got Baltimore, 2 against Toronto, Texas, Detroit, Milwaukee. The next 19 games are going to be really tough. I think Josh Kaiser called it the first part of the season when we said stay afloat was sort of the appetizer.
Yeah.
This next stretch, when we talk about the early portion of their schedule being a gauntlet, this is now the entree starting Friday. Is the entree of the, hey, just stay afloat for this team. So, we'll see. Because they got the day off Thursday. Take a deep breath. It's go time. 7-game homestand against the Orioles and Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting the scheduling, how it was Orioles and then Orioles yet again, and then Toronto, a little break, then Toronto yet again. Again, a lot of good teams early on. Luckily, they do have the White Sox kind of sprinkled in.
Give you a reprieve, and that's why these next 2 games are crucial.
It's the aperitif. Yeah. The White Sox sure are. And I actually feel bad for White Sox fans because, dude, that roster is atrocious.
I'll never feel bad for White Sox fans after what happened with the Royals and
fair.
First base coach. I'll remember. People will text in and let me know. But anyway, go ahead.
They might win 50 games. I mean, look at the roster. They have Luis Robert, who is perpetually injured. Their only really good player.
Mm-hmm.
Eloy Jimenez, their best hitter consistently. He's perpetually injured. He's finally back. Andrew Vaughn has never lived up to the hype.
No, he hasn't.
And who else? Martin Maldonado? He's getting a massive amount of starts in 2024. Robbie Grossman is your leadoff hitter?
Yeah.
Nicky Lopez is your everyday guy.
The remains of Benintendi is your number 2 hitter last night. Gamboa, Larry Gamboa. Thank you, texters.
Again, that team is a train wreck. Which, again, the Royals, if you want to take it glass half full, they're beating up on them. That's outstanding. They're doing their job. But also, they're getting a lot of games out of the way now against the White Sox. You got to think about when the Guardians and when Detroit plays them. This White Sox team isn't getting any better. They're going to be
Tom Gamboa.
A 50-win team.
We'll get it right eventually. Tom Gamboa. And the father-son duo that went out and beat up the Royals' first base coach there in Chicago. Texas says White Sox are still averaging more fans than the Royals. That's crazy because I thought people didn't want to lose the K. Where are all the voters that keep the K, keep the K? You can't take the K down. Don't tear the K down. You got to keep the K. Keep the K, damn it. Why would we go downtown? It's so difficult to get downtown. The K, it's easy in and it's easy out. Come on, don't take the K from me. I got memories there. Now, I'm not going to go, but I'm definitely not going downtown. I'm also not going to go to the K. I just don't want you to take the K away. On the off chance, I may get just a spring in my step and go check out the K for the first time in 10 years. But you're damn right I'm going to the polls to vote no, because I don't want the K going anywhere. Keep the K shirts that I'm going to wear while I'm at home watching the Royals. Anyway, go ahead. You were saying, Sterling?
I was going to actually ask you. I was going to say, for that caller, how many games have you been to the past 5 years? But I guess the answer was 0, yeah.
All right, we'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. lot of texters upset about me making fun of the people that voted to keep the K but don't actually go to the games. Hey, man, I go to the games. Well, then I wasn't talking about you.
Have some empathy,
I mean,
Jason.
That's kind of the hit dog hollers, right? I mean, right? If your immediate reaction was, hey, wasn't talking about you. But that's fine.
Have
If you
some
voted to keep the K, but you
empathy,
don't.
Jason.
If you voted to keep the K, but you don't actually go to the games, you're who I will always make fun of. I will continue to make fun of you. Well, yeah, but I want the opportunity to go to the K. Then go. If you voted to keep the K and you've got season tickets, you go there. Not talking about you. But those people that voted and don't show up, they know who they are. Right now, let's talk some Chiefs football. Adam Teicher from ESPN, presented by Twin Peaks. Step up your lunch game at Twin Peaks. Enjoy light yet hearty combos put together for you, available at an awesome price, featuring savory soups, crisp salads, and a variety of sandwiches to satisfy your every craving. Enjoy your next lunch break with Twin Peaks. Adam Teicher from ESPN joining us. Adam, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Good, Jason. How you doing today?
I am doing just fine. Let's talk about and start off with Andy Reid, the comments yesterday. Andy Reid, Nick Bolton, Patrick Mahomes, they all talked yesterday in their Zoom press conferences starting phase one. Phase one, Adam. How pumped are you for phase one?
Phase one, it's better than phase zero. You know, let's get
go.
playing football. It's these 2 month off seasons are really too long. So let's get football going here. And
it's been all of 8 hours since the Chiefs have done something. Let's get back to it, NFL. Come on. It's about time. It's about time you guys controlled a day of the calendar. So do something here.
They just give up once the Super Bowl's over, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Andy Reid yesterday, one of the more anticipated comments and what would be questions and follow-ups, regardless of what Andy Reid said at the beginning of, hey, not going to answer questions about Rashee Rice, and there's going to be follow-ups and different questions about that. But what did you make of Andy Reid's comments, even, a little bit lack thereof, but on the Rashee Rice questions yesterday?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's probably no reason he can't be participating in the virtual meetings right now. But when they move back to Kansas City, what's the situation going to be then? Is he going to be able to participate? Do they want him to participate? The courts in Texas going to allow him to leave Dallas to work? I don't see why they wouldn't, but maybe that's something they'd be hung up about. So, there's still some things we don't know. I mean, he's participating for now, but is that going to continue? And, we're going to be asking these questions, I think, for a while. There's probably going to be some times where he's here, but then he has to leave, and, it's probably going to be one of those kind of deals.
So I didn't go to lawyer school, and I don't pretend to play one on the radio, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I do wonder what would change legally, because he gave essentially a no comment on participation for phase two. Like, would he be here, as you're talking about? Like, would he be in attendance here in Kansas City in phase two? And he's like, well, we'll just see how the legal process goes. Acknowledging, I have no idea when it comes to the legality between now and then, but I don't know what would change legally between now and then for him to not be allowed to participate in a work function in Kansas City. If he can't leave the city, can't leave the state, I don't know if that would be the case. If he can't do that, that would certainly make sense. But if he can do that, then there would be no reason for him to not be there for phase two.
Yeah, I don't really understand what could possibly happen between now and then that could interfere with that one way or the other. But I think it's more of a case that Andy Reid just didn't want to commit to something, just didn't want to make public something, just in case something did come up. So, my sense is that he might be here at times, but it probably won't be a consistent participation.
Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN, Rashee Rice was not there and is not there working out with Patrick Mahomes. He didn't say specifically that Rashee Rice is not here, but when asked, is Rashee Rice working out with you right now, he said, well, I've worked with Rashee Rice in the past, and, depending on the legal situation, look forward to working with him, in the future and everything. So it's like, not right now. And he mentioned Hollywood being there, and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney and Nico and Reese Ahmed, the different people that were there. Again, the legality of it, I'm not sure what would prohibit Rashee Rice from still doing the things that he would have done if this didn't happen. Like, I'm going to guess, Adam, that without this incident that took place, that he would be one of the players that would be there working out, since he was doing it with Patrick Mahomes before. What would prohibit him from working out right now? That was really surprising to me, to know that Rashee Rice isn't there doing some of those things because of what's going on behind the scenes legally that he's having to deal with, that really his lawyer is really dealing with.
Yeah, no, I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night either, so I'm not sure about that myself. But hey, I feel like it's probably not a good look for him to be participating with pictures on social media and that kind of thing, for him to be participating in these things right now. There was a lawsuit filed the other day by a couple of the people who claim to be victims down in Texas, and I'm sure there's going to be more of that. So I think the lower profile he keeps right now, probably the better. So, I think that is one thing that maybe could prevent him from being more of a participant than he otherwise would, down there or back up here for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that. I don't know. I mean, we talked about McCole Hardman not being there, and it was a big deal that he can't be on Pat Ass all day and not, going to workouts and things like that with McCole. And it's like, if this didn't happen, we know Rashee Rice would be there. And so, therefore, now it's affecting some of the on-field stuff outside of what would be a suspension, too. So, I don't know, just sort of builds and compounds to a degry with that.
Well, it's a messed up situation. There's no... I don't know what the right thing for him to do is at this time. I'm not going to be giving him that kind of advice, but if I'm a victim, I might feel a little weird seeing pictures of him going on with his life when mine has been messed up, So, and maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know because I haven't talked to him.
Yeah. As you mentioned, the lawsuit is about $11 million that he's being sued for by a couple of victims in the accident that took place. Adam Teicher from ESPN is our guest. One of the things that we've talked about and discussed a couple of times, and Andy Reid was asked about it yesterday, about draft plans and with Rashee Rice, and do those change? And obviously, as he typically says, Veach handles all of those things, and he's got all that covered, and et cetera, et cetera. One of the parts of this that I think does matter in terms of draft plans is, even if you feel like, okay, Rashee Rice is going to be there, you don't want to make a 4-year decision on 4 games. He's going to be suspended for 4 games, so we don't now want to make a panic move and draft somebody we wouldn't otherwise have drafted because we think Rashee Rice is going to be suspended. But from the view of Rashee Rice as a Chief, a couple of months ago to now, there is an element of the trust that has been lost to a degree. And if this could happen, then you do have to make plans on if something else were to happen. Hollywood Brown is there for a year. You've got an aging Travis Kelce. I know that they were already looking at wide receiver. I just don't know how much now it adds a percentage of importance to that with Rashee Rice, because even if you're saying a 4-game, don't make a 4-year decision, you're also knowing this is somebody that made a decision on his own and a choice that wasn't very smart. And do you think that is definitely 100% past him, or do you have to feel like, okay, here's a check in the wrong column, a couple checks away from us having to move on?
Yeah, I think, there is some truth in what you say. You don't want to overreact to this. And yet, I think that's a mistake to just assume it's only going to be 4 games. I mean, it could be. I mean, that may be what comes out of this. But it's hard to know. You look at past sentences for that the NFL has handed out, suspensions and for various things, and say, okay, this guy got this, that means Rashee Rice is going to get this. The NFL doesn't seem to have any consistency with these kinds of things. So, and the fact that there's video out there of this, and you can really see what happened, that's a bad look for the NFL. They can't be looking kindly on this. And I'd be surprised if it's only 4 games. And, okay, so what if it's 6 or even 8? Does that change the picture? I don't know. But, it's true that now maybe, you don't know what you have in Rashee Rice and how much you can trust him going forward. But the Hollywood Brown 1-year contract, meaning he could be a 1-year rental type guy for the Chiefs. They've got to do something about this longer term. This is a good year to be finding receivers. So, yes, I think they would have anyway. But I do think this ramps it up. To what percent it ramps up the need? To what percent? That's hard. Yeah. It's hard judgment to make, but it certainly bumps up the level of need. To me, does bump up a notch or 2 or 3 or whatever you might want to say because of what happened here.
But Adam, if 4 games allows us to say something cool like a 4-year decision on 4-game suspension, so
okay,
you can't say 4-year decision. It's a cooler thing to say with the 4 and the 4, Adam.
Okay, well, maybe it's an 8-year career with the Chiefs and 8 games. How about that?
Maybe, but the draft is a 4-year contract typically, so that's
There
what
you
makes
go.
it just such a connection there. Just an
There
easy
you go.
tie-in, Adam.
All right.
Adam Teicher is our guest right here on
Maybe
Sport.
that's what the league will look at. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know what? You get one game for every year your contract is.
Year of their contract.
So
There you go.
4-game suspension. Adam Teicher is our guest from ESPN. What do you think the benefit is for the Chiefs with Mahomes running practices in these sessions instead of having the guys there at the facility, being able to see him, being around, maybe getting, I don't know, a little more into the football side of it? This is not a loaded question. I like that Mahomes does this. I'm just curious, you being around him, the benefit that they see with Patrick Mahomes being the guy that's running these sessions.
Yeah, well, he's the perfect guy to run these because whatever he says on those practice fields, that's it's like a coach, it's like Andy Reid talking, it's going to, whatever he says is going to happen. And he talked a little bit. I was curious what benefit he got out of doing it this way. And, he talked about, he can really spend more time with the receivers talking and there's not a coach kind of, I don't want to say interfering, but it just can be one-on-one. Hey, what did you see here? What did I see here? And they can work some things out, maybe without a third party being there. So I thought his answer to that was kind of interesting, that of what he gets out of it. And then there's the off-the-field stuff. He gets to know the new guys like Anthony Miller and Hollywood Brown and Reese Sammet. He gets to meet all these guys and start his relationship with them that he otherwise might not get to do, at least to this extent, when things are in Kansas City. So this is a pretty nice move on Andy Reid's part. I don't know that the Chiefs would do it if they weren't going so deep into the playoffs every year, but it's just a way to get some guys a little bit more of a break. Mm-hmm. Than they otherwise would. Then they'll be back here in 2 or 3 weeks. They'll be back in Kansas City, and the thing will move into another gear then. But for now, I think it's a pretty good idea. And I'm curious why more teams don't do this kind of thing, and maybe it's because they don't have a Patrick Mahomes to sort of shoulder this and sort of be their guy. I mean, I have no doubt that certain other players like Joe Burrow, for instance, and guys like that can command this, can pull this off easily, but maybe not every team can do this.
And I think a credit to Patrick Mahomes is that it's not just that they did it once. This is year 3. Of them doing it this way, where Patrick Mahomes is running phase 1 of the skill position players and going through some of those things and routes before they even get on the Zoom and talk about some of those same things. So, you have a couple of different times in a day where you're sort of driving those things home and drive that information home. But what Andy Reid said yesterday, which, I think speaks volumes about Patrick Mahomes, is when he says, we allow them to do this, but these guys come back and they're in shape and they know what they're doing. They know what's expected of them. They understand where they're supposed to be. Some of those things that, you get from phase 1 in the install. And Mahomes talking about, he's going back and they're going through defensive fronts, which he finds tedious, and the coaches make fun of him because he gets annoyed by it. But it's elementary school. You got to go back to elementary school and do your 1+1, start over every single year. But the credit to Patrick Mahomes is the fact that, okay, we'll allow you to do it. Okay, cool, that worked. We'll allow you to do it again. And we'll allow you to do it again because he's handling business down there. It's not just a bunch of guys hanging out playing grab ass and an opportunity to not have to travel to Kansas City.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that I don't want to overrate what's going on down there. I mean, would the Chiefs win a Super Bowl without it? Yeah, I think they probably would. But it's better than nothing, and I don't think everybody has to be there all the time. I think that part of it maybe can be overrated. Worrying about who's there and who's not there, but. I do think that this is better than certainly better than the alternative, and it's one of those things I think sort of came out of COVID. I think they tried to organize some things, when they couldn't come here, when they weren't allowed to gather that one year, and I feel like it went so well that they decided, hey, we can make this work. and kind of give ourselves a little bit of a break once spring comes around. So I do think it is a pretty good thing.
Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN. He's presented by Twin Peaks. Hollywood Brown also down there in Dallas working out with Patrick Mahomes. He talked about it. I found it interesting, both Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes talking about the things that Hollywood Brown brings to the table. Andy Reid, one of the first things he said is, this guy's not just a deep threat. Like, yes, he can do that, but he's, essentially he's not MVS. We're not going to use him as somebody that's going to run deep, okay? He's not just here to run deep patterns. He's here to move all over the field, run different routes. And then you've got Patrick Mahomes when he was asked, what are you learning about Hollywood? And he said route running, like how crisp he is in and out of his breaks. I thought that was interesting to hear both of them, because we hear Hollywood Brown, it's like, okay, they got somebody, you can take the top off the defense, he's got the speed. And you got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes going, no, he can do that, but that's not how he's going to be used this year. He's going to be used as a wide receiver, not just, hey, run deep, Hollywood.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, but it's also interesting you brought up MVS, because go back to what Andy Reid and some of the coaches were saying about MVS when he first got here. I mean,
That's a good point.
they were talking a lot about, he was just kind of a deep threat in Green Bay, but we're going to do different things with him. He's not just going to do that here, and that never really, as we know, never really developed. So take the optimism a little bit. I mean, it's interesting what they're saying, and I think I put more weight in it maybe when Mahomes says it, believe it or not, than when Andy Reid says it. But I'm throwing up a little bit of caution here, and just be careful in thinking that this guy is going to be just a totally different player than he was in Arizona or in Baltimore, because certainly that was the idea with MVS, and it never worked out there.
Yeah. It's a great point. Like, well, no, now he's got so many more skills and ability to run these different routes. We're talking about MVS. He can do all these different things. They just didn't use him that way in Green Bay. Then he gets here, and we see, maybe they used him. Maybe Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur had an idea of what a wide receiver looks like too. and how that guy can be deployed. It's like, no, those guys are idiots. Whereas I think there's an element of, you can talk about the Ravens offense at the time when he was there, Greg Roman, and then with the Cardinals, with the different quarterbacks he's had, where it's like, okay, well, no, Hollywood can do a lot of different things that he wasn't really able to showcase because of maybe the offense, but also I think maybe more than that, the quarterbacks he was playing with. MVS was playing with Aaron Rodgers and wasn't putting up the numbers, where Hollywood was playing with, man, we went through the who's who of quarterbacks that he was playing with, and they are some names that Hollywood had in his time. But it is a good point of hearing some of the same commentary around MVS of not just a deep threat, he's got all these different dimensions to his game.
Yeah, well, do I think the Chiefs, between their coaching and their quarterbacking, can expand Hollywood Brown's game? Yeah, I do think they can. Will they? Will this materialize? I think so, but I'm not as sold on that. After this, I really was interested when they were talking about that a couple of years ago with MVS, and thinking, wow, this is going to be interesting to see how this develops. And, of course, it never did develop. So we'll see with him. But I do think it is possible, yeah.
Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN, our guest here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kadarius Toney talked about by Patrick Mahomes yesterday that he's down there and helping teach some of the guys, and my immediate response is no, don't help him teach some of the guys, but whatever. That's the tongue-in-cheek commentary there, but will both, if you're guessing right now, knowing what the wide receiver room looks like right now, and also the fact that the draft is coming up and there are some veterans available, do you think Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore are both on this team opening day against what I'm continuing to guess, the Texans on that Thursday night, or is it one or the other? They're sort of battling it out for one spot.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes right now, because they're the leaders in the clubhouse for those extra roster spots, right? They don't really have anybody obvious other than, Hollywood Brown would be above them on the depth chart, and Rashee Rice if he's around, and maybe Justin Watson as well. And then otherwise, who's going to take their spots right now? So, I would say they are. I have not gotten any sense over the course of this offseason, that the Chiefs are ready to give up on them. And you know what? I know this is not a popular take necessarily in Kansas City, but I applaud them for that. The last thing you want to do is get rid of a guy too early, you know, and I don't know if it's too early for either of these guys, but they're still young and theoretically still could develop into productive players. I don't see what the harm is in at least bringing them to training camp and making them earn a spot for sure. Not giving it to them like maybe last year, but making them earn it. And and you can cut them then if you don't want them. So I like what the Chiefs have done with both those guys in terms of keeping them around and trying to work with them and trying to get some production out of them. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you just don't want to give up on a talented player too early. And I don't know what the ceiling is for either one of those guys. You know, maybe we saw it with Kadarius Toney the year he got to the Chiefs. You know, that second half of the season, maybe that's as good as it's going to get with him. You know, a little help as a punt returner, a little help as a gadget guy, but it's not going to be huge stuff. But maybe that is the ceiling. But I do think it'd be a mistake for them to give up on those guys right now.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue talking with Adam Teicher. Look ahead a little bit to the draft coming up in 9 days. He's presented by Twin Peaks. He's from ESPN, Chiefs Insider. More Zone right after this. '92, but St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer, his number 24, retired in St. Louis. I believe that was one of those things that they talked about when they retired it. Rick Ankiel, the last one to wear number 24 for the Cardinals. There's a little trivia for you, everybody, when you head to the bar tonight. And Royals Hall of Famer as well, Whitey Herzog. Let's bring in Adam Teicher. We continue talking. We'll talk a little bit more about Whitey Herzog with Les Norman coming up at noon, but we bring in Adam Teicher here. Adam, I wanted to talk about, the draft comes up in 9 days, and it isn't necessarily a, who they're going to take, who do you like, et cetera, but, I've been counting on them, whether it's drafting a running back, maybe signing another one, I don't know, but I do think drafting a running back or bringing somebody in as a priority free agent is certainly in the cards for this Chiefs team, and I wonder, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, do you view him as somebody that they brought back? They love who he is as a teammate, and in the locker room, he knows the system, knows the offense, been around, the familiarity with the offense, the familiarity with them to him. Is he a guy that they re-sign and he's on this roster, or they sign him as sort of a placeholder for them to find somebody better, and if they don't, well, then we know that we have a bird in the hand in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and we know at least about his game and how to coach to his game.
Yeah, well, I'm with you on the running back. I think it'll be a big surprise if the Chiefs do not draft a running back. Maybe not on the first day or even the second day, but they'll bring a running back in. I don't think there's any doubt about that, because their depth chart isn't full. Now, beyond that is an interesting question. I mean, I can't imagine the Chiefs turning down a J.K. Dobbins or somebody like that if he came back to them and said, hey, I'll take your price. I can't imagine, because the Chiefs have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they would turn down a deal like that, somebody they felt like maybe was an upgrade. So to answer your question, that's an interesting question. I've kind of wondered that myself. I mean, and I'll just answer it for now like this. I think for now, he's the leader in the clubhouse, right? I mean, he's second behind Pacheco on the depth chart for now. But beyond that, I don't know that there's going to be any guarantees. I think there'll be somebody else in here to challenge him, at least for that second spot. And then will there be somebody else here maybe to take his job? I don't can't imagine the Chiefs would spend big on that at this point. But could they do that? Yeah, I do still think that's possible. I talked about it with Seren yesterday. Of all the guys the Chiefs have re-signed since the end of last season, all the players they've re-signed, he was asking me who they thought might be, who might not make the team. And his pick was Derek Nottie, and my pick in that category is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he'll make it, but if you're asking me who's my favorite in that category, it would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's an interesting phrasing of the question, too, because those are two of the names that probably would come up, because if the Chiefs look defensive tackle, they've brought Nottie back on 3 one-year deals. But, when they re-signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, I was fine with it, based on, okay, who's out there, what the price is, and if J.K. Dobbins is not interested in the Chiefs, but obviously he hasn't signed with anybody yet. And it may have been hey, Clyde, we're talking with J.K. Dobbins. Do you want to take this contract or not? Oh, okay, you do want to take the contract. Great, welcome back. But still have, on speed dial, maybe mutually, J.K. Dobbins, and if they draft somebody, because if they sign Dobbins and draft somebody, then Edwards-Helaire would be the odd man out. I can't see them then cutting Dobbins unless there's an injury, or cutting a guy that they draft, because there's reasons that they would draft that guy and covet him. We saw what happened with Pacheco in the 7th round and what he turned out to be. And they had some high praise for Deneric Prince, but he wasn't a draft pick. He was an undrafted free agent, and it's like, okay, he's got these traits. We'll see if those are translatable. Pacheco's were. Deneric Prince, they didn't really get out of him what they were hoping to get out of him, and maybe a year off season they do, and Edwards-Helaire slides back to be the odd man out because Prince has taken a huge step forward, and they drafted somebody, or Dobbins is in. I think it's a nice fallback option. Fallback plan to where Brett Veach typically goes into a draft saying, we don't have to have this position. We don't have a gaping hole at this position to where if we don't draft somebody, we are screwed. To where, okay, they won a Super Bowl with Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon in the Super Bowl, but McKinnon missed the last part of the season in the playoffs. But hey, we won a Super Bowl with Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire, and if that's the worst our running back room looks like, okay, we can get by with that. But if it's Isaiah Pacheco and Deneric Prince or LaMichael Pirine, well, maybe that's less than ideal.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I'm okay, like as you said earlier, I'm okay with this move, with them bringing Clyde Edwards-Helaire back. But only with the understanding that there's more work to do here. I mean, they can't be done at this point. They whether it's a draft pick, a veteran, or even both, they've got more work to do at running back, and I know that they feel that way. I mean, it doesn't mean necessarily they're going to get it done. I mean, if they can't find anybody they like at the times when they pick or can't move up to get a guy, then they may strike out. But to me, that's where the signing of Edwards-Helaire, it lessens the desperation, if you will. They don't have to do something they don't want to do now that they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. But there's more work to be done, and they know that. Adam
Teicher is our guest from ESPN, visiting with him about the Chiefs. The draft comes up in 9 days. We know in the first round they will not take a quarterback, and they won't take a running back. I'm pretty positive about that. I will also throw in linebacker, that they won't take an off-ball linebacker there in the first round. Other than that, Adam, and I've eliminated 3 positions, so maybe that makes it a little bit easier, but outside of those 3 positions, is there a positional group that if the Chiefs drafted, you'd be like, wow, I cannot believe they went that route with whatever particular player it is? Is there a position that you would just be, shocked, surprised that they went that route in the first round at pick number 32?
No, there wouldn't. Safety might be. I don't think they'll draft position a safety in the first round. They'll draft that position just because they've invested between Justin Reed and Brian Cook a couple of years ago, and then Shamari Connor last year. I think they've invested in that spot adequately. So that one maybe would surprise me a little bit. But other than that, no, I don't think so. I think, you know me, I'm more in the market for good players than positions. I'm more interested in getting good players in here. So, no, that would not surprise me. I could see an interior offensive lineman with an eye toward next season, maybe losing both Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, and also Joe Tooney with an expensive contract. So I could see that. I could see offensive tackle. I could see tight end even with that last pick in the first round. I could see defensive line. I could see corner. So, I do think this thing could go a lot of different directions. I mean, if you're talking about needs, it's going to be wide receiver and offensive tackle, right? Yeah. But doesn't necessarily mean that's where they're going to go with that first pick.
Well, it's interesting you went safety because that became the conversation sort of yesterday was about the safety. It was like, well, they're not. It'd be a real shock if they took a safety, and the devil's advocate that I played on that was, well, Justin Reed, this is his last year of his contract, and they drafted ahead of Juan Thornhill's last year of his contract, and maybe that's what they were doing with Shamari Connor, but I think there's a chance Shamari Connor was drafted ahead of L'Jarius Sneed's last year of his contract and them trading him, and so if they went safety, would it be that much of a surprise? I guess because we're looking at a number of different positions that the Chiefs would go. But if we look at what they've done in the past, and maybe they look at second or third round, but if we look at what they've done in the past, they've typically at that spot have tried to be a year ahead of losing somebody. And if they look at Shamari Connor as a guy that can maybe fill the L'Jarius Sneed or the slot position role if McDuffie moves outside without Sneed, that guy that can play a number of different positions, and you're losing Justin Reed, and you replace him with a guy at number 32 that's a safety or the best safety on the board or something like that you feel like you can move around in different spots, that wouldn't be that big of a surprise because of historically what they've done at that spot and trying to be a year ahead of losing somebody.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be a surprise in terms of like a quarterback would be or running back would be. I mean, no doubt it wouldn't be that level of surprise. But I just feel like they don't need to do that unless it's just a guy they love. I mean, if it's a guy they feel like can be a real difference maker, by all means, go ahead and do that. Anywhere really, but I'd even say that about a running back. If they felt like it was a guy who was going to be a real difference maker, go ahead and take him. If he's a guy they have maybe rated as a first-round pick, they only have generally, 18 to 20 of those in the first round, and they're picking 30 seconds, so there's not always one of their guys still available when they pick at the end of the round. So if there's a first-round safety, the guy they have rated as a first-round safety and still available at 32, I think there's a lot worse things they can do with that pick, like forcing a need at offensive tackle, for instance, or forcing a need at wide receiver, or doing a lot of different things. So I'm more about the good players. So I don't think that would be a bad strategy as long as they don't feel like they're reaching for the guy.
Absolutely, and we know Spags likes to use guys that are multidimensional. We can use him here, we can put him there, we can put him in different spots. He can play, deep. He can play single high, two deep. We can bring this guy down in the box. It's what he loved about L'Jarius Sneed early on. It's what he likes about Shamari Connor. And I think this is the last year for Justin Reed. So maybe Shamari Connor goes and fills that role, and you've got Cook and Connor as your safeties. We'll see. They've got to figure something out with that. And they're pretty good of working ahead at a number of different positions. And we'll see if they didn't necessarily do that at the wide receiver spot. I think they may have tried with Sky Moore, but it didn't necessarily didn't work out that particular way. So maybe they'll find a place for him if they've got Hollywood and Rashee Rice and he plays an ancillary role. We'll find out. Last one, quick one for you. We're 9 days away. If you're guessing right now, and we'll get more sort of into the commentary about the draft next week and more of a focus specifically to that. But if you're guessing right now, and the number of draft picks, certainly matters in this, Brett Veach more likely to trade up or trade back? We know what his history and his aggressiveness is, but, he traded up for McDuffie, but he had a lot of picks that year. So if we're looking at Thursday night, more likely to, if they're moving from 32, are they moving higher or are they sliding back into the second round?
I'll never tell you it's more likely that Brett Veach will trade back. I'll never say that. It's hard for him to sit there and watch that draft unfold and for, 3-4 hours and the Chiefs don't have a pick. That's hard for him, man. He goes crazy during that time. So if you're asking me, is it going to be a trade up or trade back, I'd say a trade up. But I'm not sure that that's the right thing to do. If they can get a good second-round pick by moving back a few spots, maybe that's not a bad thing for them to do this year.
Adam Teicher from ESPN is our guest. Adam, you're the man. Appreciate it. Next week, we will certainly have a more specific eye towards the draft and what may be taking place. Appreciate the time, as always, brother. We'll talk next week.
Good stuff, Jason. Talk to you then.
Absolutely. There's Adam Teicher from ESPN. He is presented by Twin Peaks. You can step up your lunch game at Twin Peaks. Enjoy light yet hearty combos put together for you, available at an awesome price, featuring savory soups, crisp salads, and a variety of sandwiches to satisfy your every craving. Enjoy your next lunch break with Twin Peaks. We'll take a timeout, come back. We'll continue more Zone right after this. All right, hanging out here on this Tuesday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Thank you to Adam Teicher from ESPN. Presented by Twin Peaks, talking some Chiefs football. The Chiefs talked yesterday, their Phase 1 opening up. It was Andy Reid, it was Patrick Mahomes, and it was Nick Bolton. You know, I started off the conversation with Adam Teicher the first hour here, talking about Rashee Rice and Andy Reid weighing in on Rashee Rice. Let's play this clip. The question is included. It's clip number 1, Mahomes, and working with Rashee Rice. The question is included about what is currently happening with Phase 1 and if Rashee Rice is down there and attending.
Coach Reid said the organization is dealing with the Rashee thing. He did confirm he's been on the Zooms. Are you throwing with him? And if not yet, do you plan to throw with him at some point in this phase?
Yeah, I've worked with Rashid throughout the off season, just in general. I'm sure we'll continue that work as the legal process plays out.
So when I heard that yesterday, and thinking about that, Adam Teicher talked me down a little bit, and saying it might be by the advice of counsel not to be in the public setting or a public eye and be out there doing those things. I think you can get around that by just saying, hey, don't post anything on Instagram with me, but I still want to work out. I still want to be here. Because Patrick Mahomes, in the different clips yesterday and his answers, mentioned Hollywood Brown, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Nico Remigio, Reese Zahmed, Anthony Miller, all being there working out, and not Rashee Rice. And I don't know what the reasons might be. He ain't on house arrest. All right. It's in Dallas, where he's at anyway. We know that. I'm sure somebody would give him a ride if he doesn't want to be driving right now, would give him a ride there. And it's part of getting ready for the season. He's showing up on the Zooms. You can still do your job while you're going through those things as he's doing on the Zoom. I just don't understand the reasoning behind Rashee Rice not being there and just saying, hey, I don't want to be, shown on Instagram or whatever, on social media. Keep me out of those things. If Bobby or Patrick or whoever is posting on IG or Twitter or TikTok, just don't include me in any of those clips, because I don't want to be seen. I want to be out of the public eye. I don't want to make it look like, well, I'm getting sued in a lawsuit for $11 million. I don't want to make it look like I'm just flipping and I'm out here just playing football while these people are dealing with the after effects of my stupid decision that I made on that particular day. But to me, it's a little bit of it took him a week to contact the Chiefs, to talk to the Chiefs about what happened. It was a week later when he finally got in contact with the Chiefs. You couldn't call your bosses, Brett Veach or Andy Reid, a few days after? You met with the Dallas PD twice before you talked with the Chiefs. And now you're not showing up to the workouts with Patrick Mahomes.
Part of me wonders if he's just embarrassed.
Well, I mean, that's fine.
He made a obviously very stupid mistake, and I do wonder if part of him is just you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed that happened. You're embarrassed to tell your boss. You're embarrassed to tell your friends. I was dumb. That was a very silly thing that I did, and I wonder how much of that is just a legit. I don't want to be around these guys right now. I don't want to answer questions right now. Almost, again, we don't know, but wallowing in self-pity of just, I can't believe I did that.
I think if there was a group that would be understanding and would be almost welcoming, it would be those guys in the NFL that are younger age, that have also probably made some or more understanding to dumb decisions that are made, rather than a bunch of 30, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds in an office setting that are like, this bleeping idiot over here. What are you doing? Yeah, hey man, I know. I had to just. It was awkward. I had to actually have the conversation with Rashee. He was there. He was asking and talking to me, and I didn't want to just leave the setting. But it was so awkward. Right? It's so awkward that he's here. Right? It's so weird. I think that setting would be a little more of the embracing nature, and just you know what? Come on, let's get our work in. Let's work out, because he's doing the Zooms and everything. I don't know. It's clear that the decision we know is going to impact the regular season, being suspended because he won't be around the team at all, can't practice, can't do those things. But now it's impacting even this small portion of that in not being there working out. Is it the worst thing in the world of him not being there? No, because he wasn't there last year. He was working out to get ready to be drafted. But the offseason from your going into your rookie season to your second year is a big one, because you actually have time to train as a football player and get more used to the NFL, as opposed to your training for a track event and you're training to get drafted as opposed to playing football.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a very good point. Again, you're right, because a lot of these guys, they train specifically for the combine. Mm-hmm. They train just for specific drills that they also understand they're not going to be doing in game action, but they still have to get ready, because they all know if I run a 4.38, that's a huge difference in a lot of scouts' eyes in a 4.42.
Mm-hmm. That second number starts with 3 instead of 4. It's a big deal. If it starts with 2 instead of 3, it's a big deal.
If a guy runs a 4.39, you say he ran a 4.3. If a guy ran a 4.40, it's a 4.4.
No, 4.39 is a sub 4.4. That guy ran a sub 4.4. That guy ran faster than 4.4. By what? 100th of a second? But, it's faster. 4.4. Guy ran a 4.4.
Surprisingly, don't say Xavier Worthy ran a sub 4.4. So surprised that he doesn't fall in the same category.
No, when you get that low, you get your specific time. What'd that guy run? Like a 4.22? No, he ran a 4.21. You know that he did. Don't act like you're ignorant on this. Not ignorant. Les Norman, he joins us next. center field that you're not a fan of. This
even
song
want you to say
is about
it.
baseball too.
The first part is
It's about the guy digging in, getting
Yes.
ready to face a really good pitcher, and the umpire's like, "Hey, let's go, pitcher," because there's
the man
in the box.
and that's where it ends for me.
What is he doing in that box, though?
What's he buried in? What is he buried in something?
See, that's why I
He's
didn't wanna
buried
go
in
further.
breaking pitches.
That's why I like the intro to
Buried
that song.
in his stuff, because the pitcher has stuff. You know, that's what I'm going with.
I got
that's
you.
The,
I
And
got
that's
he,
the
does,
song.
he does even say, "I want you to save me."
Yeah,
because
that's MacArthur.
his stuff's too good.
Yes, it's MacArthur. Come and save me. So there you go.
You're
Les
the-
Norman.
You're the gift of the voices.
No, not at all.
I could listen to you do Denny all day, man.
Well, you know what?
I went to get some pizza and it was
gone.
gone.
Ding ding. It was
Love
and gone. Les Norman. How about that?
I love it.
Really got into one right there.
Yeah.
David DeJesus was very good.
You mean DeJesus? I don't know who DeJesus is, but I know who David DeJesus is. I know him. Big fan of his.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. A lot of people do. I don't know why. Les Norman, Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City is our guest. We mentioned it briefly in the previous hour when news came down. 92 years old, Whitey Herzog passing away, and a legend in the game of baseball. Played for the Kansas City A's, managed the Kansas City Royals, St. Louis Cardinals, many pennants that he won, World Series that he won with the Cardinals. Thankfully, he was on the losing end of the '85 World Series as a manager. Divisions, winning the West with the Royals 3 years in a row, and just the overall impact. Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, Cardinal Hall of Famer, Royals Hall of Famer, Missouri Hall of Famer. Whitey Herzog, a long life, an impactful life in the game of baseball.
Legend.
So sad news that Whitey passed away.
Yeah, man. I love his quote. Baseball's been very good to me since I stopped trying to play it. And I love that quote.
It's a great quote.
It is. Married 71 years.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, truly amazing. And when you think of old school, there's this big debate now, and there's so many people in this generation that want the rules and the analytics and the new style and love the excess celebrations and all that. And then you got the old school guys who want it to be the way it was and don't like change. And when you think of old school, somebody like Whitey Herzog comes to mind. I mean, a lot of players that played for him just love the guy, and almost 1,300 wins as a manager, and played some baseball obviously as well, and I mean his time, and he admit he was Casey Stengel, and I mean my goodness, the bridge to old school, and yeah, he's going to be sadly missed by a lot of people in this game.
Well, I know that the phrase was coined when he was with the Cardinals of Whitey Ball. But, I mean, he did that with the Royals, too. The speed and the defense, getting guys at the top of the lineup that'll get on base and run, followed by guys that can drive them in. It seems obvious, right? But he was one of the, and I know we talk about analytics and everything, but he did have an eye towards on-base percentage of guys, get on base, don't make an out, and then we can get it to other guys that can drive you in, but not necessarily your traditional, now we're going to have a number 4 cleanup power hitter. This guy's just going to be, gripping the bat, and the wood is being
Compressed?
no, it just gripping
the
sanded,
wood.
The wood is sanded off while this guy is
Sanded was the word you were trying to
Sanded
come
is
up
the word
with.
I was looking for right
If you
there.
saw the listeners, his hand movements, that
It's
was
like,
not sanded.
Yeah, sand. Yeah, you know what? They probably did see that. Sorry about that. And I'm thinking of Jack Parkman with Major League 2 when he's holding it, and you can see like the dust coming off the bat. Like, you don't have to have that old school guy that's just going to mash the baseball. It was play great defense in some cavernous yards with the AstroTurf.
Played his surroundings.
And
he played
have
his
guys
turf,
that
man.
run
he
fast.
he understood it.
Yeah, because he had turf in Kansas City and St. Louis.
He
in
didn't
the
need
old
analytics
bush.
when he had eyeballs. I mean,
but his eyeballs also gave him sort of the hey, this makes sense. What if we had guys that didn't make outs?
yeah,
they don't hit doubles and everything, but what if this guy just simply handed the baton to the next guy, and then when he got on first, he could steal 100 bags, or he hits one in the gap and it skips all the way to the wall, and he's fast enough that he's going to be at third. Let's do that. Also, we're going to have guys that take runs away by playing awesome defense.
absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the things that I love about the memories of Whitey is that he lovingly, calmly admitted to hating umpires. I think he went into the Hall of Fame with an umpire at the same time. And I can't remember that umpire's name, but he'd mentioned like that umpire was the guy that threw him out the most when he played. And, again, just old school. And he would do it in a laughing way and tongue in cheek. And I mean, he actually, in a way, defended Denkinger's blown calls. Like, hey, he's a human being. He made a mistake. He knows he made a mistake. He admitted he made a mistake. He just did it at the inopportune time. So at the time, I'm sure Whitey was not taking that stance. But over time, he just had a respect for people that were in the game in all aspects of it. And, he's such that throwback. He's just, like I said before, he's just going to be missed for so many reasons. But if you think about it, me, I'm more behind the scenes in life than anything. But 71 years married.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not just longevity of living to be 92. That's commitment.
Yeah.
And it's commitment from his bride, too, because he's gone every year. He's a baseball lifer. And so family guy, old school baseball guy. It's a great day to remember all the stuff that he's done for the game.
And I joke about him being on the wrong side of 1985.
Yeah.
And he had talked about it too, that, obviously he was on the losing side, but there was a part of him that playing for the A's and playing for the Royals and not getting over the Yankees and losing in 80, when he wasn't the manager there anymore, but losing in 80, that they got a World Series.
Right.
We got one in 82. They got a World Series. That's cool. And he also talked about, like, he said something along the lines of, like, in an odd way, being on the opposite end of the Dinkinger call, somehow we get more notoriety as the team in the Cardinals because of that call, rather than just a team that went down in history that won a World Series and moved on. But obviously, you'd rather have the ring. He was safe, whatever. I know there's an argument over Dinkinger's call. It was obviously safe. It was the right call. Not sure what everybody's arguing over. So
right. Yeah, it is what it is.
Safe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the disagreement here. So.
What I think is so fascinating is you can see the effects of what he did as a manager that are still felt today. I mean, he was the bullpen by committee. It used to be if you were a reliever, all right, you're finishing the game. You're going in for 3-4 innings, and then Lee Smith kind of even in 1980 was like, okay, we'll do 2 innings and then 1. But it really was Whitey Herzog who created the bullpen by committee, which we were feeling here in Kansas City in 14 and 15. It was the again, building your team to the ballpark, obviously having a very fast center fielder like Lorenzo Cain being in the center. The Royals, I almost stuck with it. They stuck with Whitey Ball.
We did see that. Yeah.
Like, we're not going to go for the power hitters. We're going to try and build a roster that fits this organization and the stadium. Again, he was such a on the forefront of, again, the analytics, but using your eyeballs because we didn't have all the numbers back then. But I do think the bullpen by committee, to me, is one of the most fascinating aspects. Because where would Major League Baseball have been? How much longer would it have taken before they actually got to that?
Where we had to learn and we had to grow in our experience with the game, whether you're a former player, manager, in the media, or just a fan. What we had to learn to grow, he had the instincts of and saw it real time. And it's great, Sterling, that you say that. We still do today and still see remnants of what he used to do. You were mentioning this quarter zip I have on a Royals fantasy camp. And so it's fantasy camp every year is a blast for multiple levels and reasons. But one of the great things for me is to be, now and also, being the director of Royals fantasy camp for the last couple of years, being in there and getting to sit. And I think this will be my 14th or 15th coming up this year. But you still have George Brett, Amos Otis, Dennis Leonard, Willie Wilson. Guys like that are still in that clubhouse and still talking about Whitey. And you hear stories every year of, I remember this one time when Whitey just lit. And, of course, I'm going to not say everything because we're going to keep our rating and our license here. Yeah. But just the things that Whitey would say and the situations and the fun and locker room, bullpen, on-field stuff, they still talk about it, and they keep it alive because of the – and John Mayberry, he's part of that too, and Mayberry's just the big storyteller. So you get all those guys together, I feel like almost like I played for the guy, and of course I didn't. I mean, it's such a different generation, but it's a wonderful thing to see. And as I hear those stories, Sterling, leading to what you're saying, like, man, we see those things in baseball today. It's a newer generation trying to bring new things and take all that stuff away. They'll never fully be able to, but it's just so cool to see those Royals Hall of Famers and those old school guys still talk about Whitey like it was yesterday. And there's so much joy and exuberance in how they tell those stories back when they played.
Visiting with Les Norman, Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Let's talk about the Kansas City Royals and what they've been doing. They now sit 11-6, a half game out of first place. They got the White Sox today and then tomorrow afternoon. They got good news with Salvador Perez because yesterday there was concern, and I didn't know how long he would be out, but according to Matt Quatrero, they got the best possible news they could get with the MRI, low-grade strain of his groin. And then Salvi apparently wants to let everybody know, including somebody that was driving all the way from where?
I think it was Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico,
yeah.
Came all the way from Puerto Rico
That's
to
an interesting drive.
Yeah, it's a really weird drive to get there. But either way, traveling maybe is the better term, from Puerto Rico to get to the Chicago White Sox game. And Salvi saying, I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
This was last night. That's fantastic news because what kind of emotional gut punch would it be to this team if you lost Salvi for an extended period of time when they're playing like this?
Since Easter's.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that would have been crazy. Yeah, I was nervous when I saw that play. I'm like, ooh, was there a spike in there? Was there something? Because the way he reacted, it was as if something popped. Like, oh no, the collective Royals world of oh no when that happened, and to get that right away. I mean, Salvi would play through it. He's just a tough dude.
Yeah.
But even when you say, oh, no, I'll be okay, I want to play tomorrow, that doesn't settle you down because you know how Salvi is. You got to find out what's the managers say, what do the trainers say, what do the doctors say. So that was a collective 48 hours of hold your breath till you turn blue.
And the fact that he's not going on the IL, which also says that the manager, the doctors, and they say, okay, you're good, that we can work through this. We don't need an IL stint. Logan Porter can be the one-man taxi squad in case. But it looks like, according to Salvi and the MRI, that disaster avoided, and he won't miss much time, if more than one game.
that dude has to be the toughest guy in baseball. How many other catchers are placed on the IL? How many other catchers are missing at least a week? Like, it blows my mind.
And not that they shouldn't.
No, not that. And again, sometimes it's to his detriment. Like, I think he rushes back too soon, but it shows his love of the game, his love of his teammates, the love of Kansas City. But I mean, it's just phenomenal. I don't understand how he's able to bounce back that quick after the amount of injuries he has sustained in his career at such one of the most physical positions in all of sports, at least in all of baseball.
And when you're carrying 260 pounds,
it blows my mind. Like, it blows my mind. If he's Joe Tooney, like playing through a broken hand. It's Nick Allegretti when he tore his UCL. He's like, "No, I'm good, man. I'm gonna keep playing." That's like Salvi. Like,
well, Salvi had to miss a season when he tore his. I'm just saying, Allegretti and Salvi, he did miss a year.
If it was on his, it wouldn't happen. But if it was on his left elbow, Salvi's like, "I don't care. I'll still catch. I'll still be back there."
And since Salvi's contract, they can no longer handle luggage. Since then,
that's exactly right.
Yeah, no steps,
Nothing
no luggage.
like that.
The best worst thing for Matt Quatraro is when Salvi gets cleared to play, and then you hear that knock on his door. Like, how am I going to tell this guy no? I mean, it's Salvi. So, yes, just breathe a sigh of relief, Royals fans.
I want to talk about Velasquez here in a little bit because I think there's a decent chance maybe Salvi's in the lineup at DH for Velasquez, maybe to get a day off. But before we move off of Salvi, as a former player, I talked, not me as a former player, but I want to ask you as a former player, but I talked yesterday, Jack Johnson was in here with us and Sterling, and we talked about that particular play. And when it happened, like, I was pissed off. Like, I was mad about that play because baseball is changing the rules so that play specifically doesn't happen anymore. Salvi was on the inside part of the line. He gave a clear path to Starling Marte to slide, and Marte's body was in fair territory and slid into Salvi, and it looked like he almost curved a little bit when, okay, the ball's coming in, I'm about to be tagged out, I'm going to slide right there. Like, back in the day, it was a baseball play.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, it felt a little bush by Starling Marte. And I said, yesterday, I'm like, then he gets up and apologizes. Bleep your apology. It's so disingenuous. You didn't do that on accident. That wasn't it was a bang play and I couldn't avoid it. You slid on the inside part of the line and collided with Salvi there. But you didn't go spikes up. Cool. Congratulations. You didn't go real dirty play to one of the most beloved players in all of baseball.
Right.
Because your own teammates might have fought you then if you went spikes up on Salvi. But I mean, that play is specifically put in baseball now, the rules, to avoid that when Salvi is lined up where he's supposed to line up, giving a path and being able to catch and tag, and Marte still slid on the inside part of the line.
Okay, so a little bit to unpack, and I'll do the short version. The first, I would throw maybe a little bit of blame on Marte because he's still athletic enough, and for even my style of play, if I see where the catcher's sitting, I'm trying to avoid not a collision, to avoid a tag.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be safe.
So maybe outside with a hand tag or
yeah,
miss the swipe.
I'm going way outside and trying to swipe that little outer black part of the plate with a finger, just trying to get it to the outside, and if I'm out, I'm out. So that's the reaction. I think the ball got there early enough where he probably could have made that decision. And so the benefit of the doubt with him is maybe he's just trying to break up or knock the ball out. So that's a possibility as well. I'm not going to say, oh, Marte's this dirty player. That's a horrible thing. And look, he's sliding into our beloved Sal Perez.
That's where I'm pissed off.
Absolutely.
If it was Logan Porter, it's probably a little bit. Sorry,
I'm
Logan.
sorry, Logan. We
sorry,
love you.
Dang,
sorry,
what did
Logan.
Logan do to you?
He didn't do anything except for not be Salvi. So yes, there was an element
How
of.
dare you?
There was an element of Salvi as a part of our family.
Right.
All right. Now you're talking. I can talk
Oh,
about
and Logan's not? You would never invite Logan over for dinner?
He can come over for dinner, guaranteed foods. We got plenty. But I can talk about my cousin, my friend, my uncle, my brother. You don't talk about him. All right?
Yeah.
You don't mess with Salvi.
How dare you?
All right. But
Right.
go ahead, Les.
So no, it's fine. So maybe there's a little bit there, but you just don't know what was inside his head at that last second. Maybe he was just trying to jar it loose. Maybe he just kind of had a feeling seeing Salvi set up and present the glove there all of a sudden like, oh, I'm a dead man. And so maybe he thought, I don't have time to go to the outside, so I'm going to try to break this thing up. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. This whole thing for me is what you said, Jason, at the beginning. This is Major League Baseball's inconsistencies and inability to enforce things, hold umpires accountable, all these changes that they want to make, but yet they waffle when it comes to these certain situations. Major League Baseball is creating these kind of situations because they don't have full control. Once they meddle in things when they shouldn't, then, okay, well, if you're going to meddle, okay, you changed it, fine. We don't like it, but you changed it, and then they don't enforce it. That's what creates this anger and frustration and pits people and fans and players against each other, and it's just not necessary. So if you make them, I know some rules sometimes can't be exactly ironclad, but Major League Baseball creates a lot of their own problems, and sometimes the players are the ones that suffer.
I'm thankful it didn't happen,
Yeah.
that Salvi is not out for an extended period of time.
Oh, if he would have, this conversation's a lot
Yes.
different.
Agreed.
Right, and I think when you talk about the consistencies and this, the play didn't get much play at all. Like people didn't really talk about it. There's a slide and Salvi left the game injured. Like even on ESPN or MLB Network, it's like, okay, now we move on to other things in the game. If we found out that Salvi's done for the season on that, I guarantee that play would be looked at and studied and talked about, and it would be a conversation that they would have on MLB Network of, okay, was this Buster Posey, that was a collision at home plate where he was in front of home plate. Salvi's on the inside part of the field, and he's got the tag ready to go, and Marte slides on the inside and hits Salvi's leg. Is this a dirty slide? Isn't this what we're trying to take out? And I also wonder if Salvi would have dropped the ball if the Royals would have challenged.
Right.
And said that, well, actually, he's out because he slid into the catcher. The catcher gave him a path, and he chose to go into the catcher and collide with him. That's why he dropped the ball. He's actually still out. I do wonder if the out wouldn't have been called on the field if they would have challenged it, and the out still would have been recorded. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was nervous at first that they were just going to still call him out just with the new rules. Not enough of the plate was given up for
Right.
Starlin Marte.
Yeah,
Again, I think I'm more with Les as far as Starlin Marte doesn't have this history of a dirty player. If this was Josh Donaldson doing it, or who was the guy, Brett Lowry doing it, maybe we'll have a different conversation.
Yeah, I don't think he's a dirty player. I just think it was in today's day and age. It felt a little bush.
Yeah, but
felt a little bush.
It's also a guy who's been playing Major League Baseball since 2012.
Yeah.
So he's had to deal with the changes.
That's true.
And when he first came into baseball, that was not the rule. The rule was you're going to try and break it up. And I think that to me, that if this was a younger guy, I would have more, I think, anger towards it. But this is more of a guy going, yeah, we know where it's at. But also I do think it's a bang-bang play. The thought is I'm probably going to be out. And back when I started playing baseball, back when he was in the majors, it was, I'm going to try and break this up. That's what I think he tried to do. And it just,
Right.
it's, if this was anyone besides the Royals, I would probably even just say, I don't mind it.
Yeah. And let's remember, Marte's a big dude, too. And, you get some steam rolling when you're a big guy. It's really hard. Once you commit, even in your mind, once you commit, your body's going to follow. But once you commit with your body, it's really hard. I mean, same with Salvi, 260 pounds. What if that would have been a Logan Porter or Fermin back there or just a smaller? Any other catcher's probably going to be smaller. And, yes, they're big, and, yes, they're tough. But, again, it's not the size of Salvi. So it could have been, Salvi's size may have saved him a stint on the IL because he's just a bigger guy. And he's durable and he's tough and all those things in mind. And so, again, benefits of the doubt all the way through. It just points to me that MLB continues to waffle through stuff, and that's frustrating.
I just think Starling Marte should be kicked out of baseball. That's just what I'm saying, but whatever. I mean, if you
and I think that we should bring in instant replay only because there's like 60 to 90 days you have to implement something, now instead of a full year. And it's working very well in AAA. When, Skeens did it the other day when a ball that looked way inside but ended up being a strike, and he got a strikeout and did a little head tap. Yeah.
Challenge that.
I love the fact, I think I saw a tweet like with Angel that someone said if they had that right now, Angel Hernandez wouldn't be working because he'd give himself a concussion from all the times he tapped himself in the head. But implement it just for him. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be
if you're the worst, whoever gets the worst score, that's the only umpire when he works behind the plate that you can have the instant replay. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Obviously, the Jordan rules were different, but this would be the Angel rules,
Yes.
the Angel Hernandez rules that you do have instant replay. You can challenge a pitch with Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, that would be awesome because then he'd probably quit.
Did you see
He'd probably sue.
Did you see the pitch to Did you see the pitch to Wyatt Langford?
Yeah.
It was 7 inches outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at least it wasn't.
No, hold on, Jay. Come on. It was 6.7 something inches. It wasn't a full 7, was it?
Well, you know what? Half an inch does make a difference.
6 points. Okay, give it. Okay, no, it was 7 inches.
7
That's
inches.
horrible.
Yes. And at least it wasn't a big situation of 1 out, bases loaded. He saw 5 pitches. None of them were strikes.
So what's worse for you guys? Is it the obviously horrible calls he consistently does, or when someone challenges him, the genuine look of surprise / arrogance / I have no idea what you're talking about
That
look on
one.
his face?
It's
that one.
It's the second part.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Either he doesn't know or he's so arrogant or just doesn't care.
And that's what it is because
Well, because
he has
he's
to
not gonna
know
get-
he's the worst umpire in baseball.
Yeah.
Like and I don't think he has social media. I would be shocked if a guy like that who's just
Be a glutton for punishment.
So maybe he doesn't see all the things said about him, but you have to know when you are the least popular umpire, how many umpires do you currently know the names of? 10? 15
Yeah.
maybe?
I mean, no.
But the point is, if you know them,
Yeah,
typically,
right.
it's
Angel
rarely
Hernandez.
for good reasons.
That's true.
Normally, it's for, and if you are that popular, and I don't mean popular in a good way here, if you're that
Right.
well known, infamous, I should
Notorious.
say, yeah, notorious.
Infamous.
Yeah.
It's
That's you, dog.
infamous.
Like that's you, man. Like Angel, come on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that Angel wasn't calling the game yesterday because we would have more conversation about that. But Seth Lugo was on the mound less.
Oh.
And I was looking for the stat about where he ranks in baseball, but Jack Johnson put this out last night. In his last 30 starts, Seth Lugo has 21 quality starts, 4 for 4 with the Royals, the 25 and 2/3 innings, and 3 earned runs that he's given up in his 4 starts. I mean, we talked about when it happened, hey, getting Will Smith and revamping the bullpen, Michael Wacha coming in, but Seth Lugo was such an underrated signing, I think, across baseball, and he has just been dynamite for the Royals. He's not going to have a 1 ERA, but he's just simply consistent. You know what you're going to get from Seth Lugo out there, and it's also it's a nice change to watch him work. It's not, 98, 100 and crazy, nasty stuff.
Pitcher.
He's a pitcher and changing speeds and getting soft contact and 100 pitches in 7, almost 8 innings, and it's like, oh, hey, that guy just knows what he's doing out there on the mound.
Yeah, it's just so masterful to watch. It's like watching somebody paint a picture and you've got no idea what that is or what is that color or what's going on here and think, oh, wow, okay, now I got it. I mean, watching him pitch is ridiculous, and I think that with him and with this whole rotation, the Royals are not getting, their front office is not getting enough credit for putting this together. I mean, the Royals starters this year in just 17 games are 8-2 And Cole Reagan's with a sub-2 ERA doesn't even have a win yet.
Have a win.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And so, it's Waka and who is it? Is it Waka and Marsh that have the losses as the starters? And still, I mean, Waka's a 4, Marsh is a sub-3 ERA. Is that right? Sub-3. So yeah, it's been phenomenal to watch. And Lugo's just carving guys. Now, in I think 25 plus innings, he only has I think 6 walks, which is great. He doesn't have, but he only has, I think, like 8 strikeouts.
He has 13.
13 strikeouts, yeah. Okay, so that's not 1 an inning. That's maybe a strikeout every 6 outs, which isn't like world-beating if you think about it, but he's pitching to contact. He's trusting his defense. He's getting guys off balance.
Yeah, the Alec Marsh has a 4.3 ERA, and he's 2-0.
Okay,
Cole Reagan's has a 1.9 ERA, and he's 0-1. And Waka is 1-1 with his 4 ERA.
Yeah.
So Waka and Alec Marsh have a 4 and 4.3 ERA. They're 3-1.
How dare they?
And Cole Reagan's has a 1.9 and he's 0-1. Lugo a 1.05 is 3-0, and Brady Singer a 0.98 is 2-0.
Paltry and
Salty.
minuscule. That's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
I want to ask you, Les, if you think Seth Lugo can keep this up, because the underlying metrics are not a fan of Seth right now. And I'm a big process a lot of times, especially in baseball. Football's different because there's 17 regular season games. That's results oriented. Sorry, you got to get the call right in that moment. Baseball, 162. Odds are it's going to even out as the season goes on. The underlying numbers are not a fan of Seth, but again, he is producing a lot of extremely weak contact. His fastball has been really solid, even though it's only being thrown at an average of 92.2, and his curveball has just some of the most break in all of Major League Baseball. And you go back to what he did with the Padres. I don't want to go back to 2022 because he was a reliever then. But last year, it wasn't like he was a massive strikeout pitcher. Now, 140 strikeouts in 146 innings, even 5 years ago, that's pretty solid for a starter.
Sure.
In today's baseball, average, a little below average, right? A little less than 1 per, I guess, 9. I just don't know how sustainable this is for a guy, because we saw it. Brad Keller was the guy I brought up earlier. Brad Keller could do it for a year or two, and then we'll go, yeah, well, when's the other shoe going to drop? And then it dropped.
Yeah.
What do you think with Seth here?
Yeah, it's a great question. And look, I think we have to have the reality check in the sense it's a human being, and, Major League Baseball is a chess match. Pitchers figure things out, and they get ahead of hitters, and eventually hitters will start their scouting department and their hitters meetings will start to make adjustments, and they'll start to take certain pitches. And that good curveball, there's not going to be a lot of guys in 2 to 3 more starts that are going to be swinging that as much. They're going to be waiting, and then they're going to start hitting that fastball a little bit, and maybe playing smaller ball, because he, to this point, doesn't give, like you said, the solid contact. He's getting a lot of weak contact because hitters are hitting his stuff. Eventually, the pendulum's going to swing back. So I see Lugo. Yeah, I would love it if he'd win 15 games. There's no reason to say he wouldn't win 15 games right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what is he, 3-0?
Yeah, 3 out of every 4 starts. He's
I mean, yeah. And there's a lot of baseball left. There's almost 150 games left. So I'd see him like anywhere from a 3.8 to a 4.6 earned run average. But if you win 15 games with a potent offense, and this offense, if you look at it right now, only Salvi and Bobby Witt Jr. right now in 17 games are hitting over 300. I think Bobby Witt's at 314 and Salvi's around 339 or something like that. Have I turned to analytic nerd? Oh my gosh,
that's exactly right. 314 and 339.
Man, what's going on? I
Look at you.
can't remember like what I read
Les
2 minutes
Norman,
ago.
big
But
number guy.
But also what you don't realize. I mean, we know that he's been hot. Is 4 games ago, Pasquantino was like something. Now he's at 255, but climbing very quickly. He's killing it right now. So to come back to the answer to the question, it's probably not because he's not your A-lister, 24-year-old super stud that's going to be a potential 20-game winner. He's going to have a little bit higher ERA, and he's not going to be able to do this all year, but he's going to give you a chance to win every time. Great defense behind him, good offense behind him, and he's always going to give you a chance to win.
It reminds me a lot of Jared Weaver with the Angels, right? He especially towards the end of his career, everything up there was manipulated. And if you saw last night, Lesky had a fun velocity quote with Seth Lugo. His lowest fastball was 88.8. His maximum velocity fastball was 94.8. That's just one pitch that he's manipulating.
Mm-hmm.
He also throws a curveball, which last night had one that was 81.8 miles an hour with 59 inches of vertical break. Only more has been Dylan Cease with 55. He threw a sinker, a slider, a changeup, and then a sweeper. So he's out here throwing 6 pitches, but he's manipulating every single one of them.
Which they're actually multiple pitches
Again,
of the same pitch.
And so that's why, again, why I think some of the analytical numbers might not be the best for him. This is a guy who is entering his second season as a traditional starter, was a reliever for the majority of his career. He's learning how to pitch, and you don't have to have the best stuff to get dudes out. Again, I always go back to Jared Weaver with the Angels because that was always a guy who I thought was fun to watch. Bruce Chin, to an extent. Hopefully he's a little better than Bruce overall.
Chin!
But even Greinke towards the end, right? Even when he's
I loved
learning how to pitch.
Loved Soren down in spring training when he interviewed Greinke a long time ago. His first stint with the Royals, interviewed Greinke, and Greinke would throw like the curveball at 70 miles an hour, and he could hum in the fastball at 99, right? And so Soren asked him how many different pitches you have. And Greinke, and his perfect Greinke, it was something along the lines of, well, I throw my curve at there's a mile an hour, so I guess I have like 1 million. Because he was saying I can throw a fastball at 89, a fastball at 90,
Yeah.
a fastball at 91, a fastball at 90. How many different pitches do you have? I don't know.
Literally.
1 million. No, literally, do you have a fastball, a curve, a slider, a change? Do you throw a split?
But not in his head.
Not in his head. So I
No.
don't know, 1 million? Because
So that's
I have a 93 mile an hour fastball and I have a 97 mile an hour fastball. Those
Yeah.
are 2 different pitches.
That's a great point. And Sterling, to your point on all this, I can hit an 88 mile an hour. Well, I'm sorry. No longer at 55, can I? Back in the day, I could hit an 88 mile an hour fastball. Okay, I'd actually rather you time out. Could you put a little more velocity on it?
Sure.
Because I'm geared up towards something else. So between 88 and 94, I'm comfortable that I can catch up with that, have good timing on it. The problem is, though, when you go 88 to 94, then your curve, then your sinker, then your change, and you're manipulating speeds and locations on all of those. If a guy is like 92 to 94 and has other pitches, okay. All I'm looking for is a fastball. And I can get on your movement either in the scouting, watching video, or just having faced you before or even after the first at-bat. I might run into one the first at-bat, but if I get you locked in and know there's only 2 to 3 mile per hour difference between your fastballs, I'm confident. Even if it's a heavy, nasty Jamie Bluma shot put sinker like he used to throw, I'll learn to get my hands inside and do what I can do. But now when you've got 7 mile an hour difference and one's a sinker or a cutter, and then you factor the change and the curve and all those other things, you start to take my mind off of your fastball, and now my mind is thinking about 7, 8 other 9, 10 variations of different pitches. You're in my head on the walk from the on deck circle up to the plate, and that's victory in and of itself. You turn me from a 290 hitter into a 160 hitter, and that's what Seth Lugo's doing.
Writing it down, Les Norman said he would rake v. Jamie Bluma's sinker. There we go.
I would rake it because I would only be able to hit it with an actual rake, not a bat.
Okay, right now, current age, you versus Jamie Bluma. Let's see
Jamie
this.
Bluma wins every single time.
You think so?
I took my boys out yesterday just for slow pitch softball to get them something to do, and they had a game last night, so I'll just throw to them. And I'm sitting out this year, and I went home and my wife looked at me. She's like, "The ice bag is in the cabinet," and I had to ice my left oblique just because I took 15 slow pitch softball swings.
Oh, my goodness.
So Jamie Bluma would win every single time. It's not his talent and my inability to stay healthy.
We'll take a timeout. Les Norman is our guest. Breaking the Norm, presented by TruckMovers.com and First Federal Bank of Kansas City. I want to talk about another pitcher that had some nasty stuff last night. MacArthur as a closer, what he was doing, and I love the juxtaposition of the 2 pitchers on the mound for the 2 teams, Michael Kopech and then to MacArthur, and seeing the different ways they go about it. And we'll ask Les Norman if maybe, we've talked about Nelson Velasquez and how, excited it is that he's, going the opposite way and willing to take some singles. Is this sustainable for him when he's swinging and missing almost 50% of the time? Does he need maybe some time off with his struggles of late? We'll take a timeout, come back, continue hanging out with Les Norman. More Zone next. Presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, hanging out with us. So, what?
I love these, like, royalty-free musics that are just complete. This is what I like about You by the Romantics.
Yes.
It's just complete, just rip-offs.
What are you talking about?
It's amazing. I love these.
It's not a rip-off. Theirs goes
Royalty.
doom, 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 da da doom, doom. Ours goes doom, 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 da da doom, doom.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
these. These
it's
are
totally different.
It's a fun game of what song is the royalty-free music.
Vanilla Ice was under pressure when he did that song. I mean, he was.
Les Norman is our guest, and I want to juxtapose.
If you're going to use big words, pronounce them correctly.
Yes, I'm going to pronounce them correctly from now on, okay? I'll put the right emphasis on the correct syllable.
Got it.
All right, I'm going to do that moving
boy.
forward. But the juxtaposition of the two pitchers last night when you got Michael Kopech on the mound and he's hitting 101 and pumping it in there, and you got MacArthur, closer. Oh, it's closer stuff. He's pumping in there at 94, but he's got that vicious curve and the sinker, that's 94, but the slider that he's throwing in there as well. And my son is in this mode of the great stuff is like, well, can he throw 100? Does he throw 101? You know, because YouTubes and all of that stuff, right? And so he's watching Michael Kopech and throwing 101, and then MacArthur gets in there, and I'm like, no, this guy's got some pretty good pitches. He's got some nasty stuff, and he throws 94, and he was like, well, that was only 94. I said, watch the ball. And MacArthur, the entire inning, not one pitch was straight. I mean, you've got the sinker that's got the movement, you got the curve that's fallen off the table, and when MacArthur was done, my son was like, Dad, he was nasty. Dad, he was not. I'm like, and you don't have to throw 101 to be nasty.
Right.
I was like, Kopech was throwing 101, and yeah, you can be nasty that way. I said, but MacArthur's working, 84 to 95, but nothing is straight. It's going left to right. It's going right to left. It's going north south. It's moving every which way.
Yeah.
And that's you can be really effective with some nasty stuff that way as well. And I love to see that. The new age of like, here's your closer, boom, 100. Here's the Royals closer, just stuff moving everywhere.
Yeah. I love it. I would rather face a guy like a Randy Johnson, the old school, my day of Jose Mesa. Those guys throw gas. Because at some time, you're going to get this certain movement, but it's gas. Just get your foot down and let's go one-on-one, and they're going to win more because they can, and 100's 100, right? But you get a guy that can control the baseball, and again, like we talked about earlier, get in your head a little bit and just get you off your game. One bat at bat can get you into a slump, and hitters know that. So they're battling in those late parts of the games against a really good pitcher, but then they're also trying to protect the good feel that they have. Like right now, the guys that are hot for the Royals or guys that are hot all around the big leagues when they're going really good to start the season, it's really hard to start the season off really well. It really is. You're coming out of spring, and it's different, and the whole atmosphere is different, and you feel different, and blah, blah, blah. But you're protecting against going into a slump, and when you let your brain get into that, that's when the slump really starts. And one at bat, one wrong thought can take it. And a guy like MacArthur who can move the ball all over the place, and there's the pressure of, okay, we're still in this. It's get one base runner and then we can tie it up.
Bloop and a blast.
We're right there. That's a lot of pressure.
Well, it's not 89. It's still 95.
Yeah, right.
But and what's just going to your point of how nasty he's been with, again, not throwing 101 or the traditional elite stuff. His chase percentage is 93rd percentile.
Yeah.
His whiff percentage, 96th percentile. His walk rate, which, by the way, again, he controls all this, 94th percentile. Again, small sample size, 8 2/3 inning.
Well,
but
consistency and good sample sizes have to start from small sample sizes.
And so for me, we're going back to this. It's like, great, that guy throws 101, but this guy has insane movement. Look at the numbers underlying that back this up. Dudes are not getting contact on these, and he's not walking anyone.
Well, and I do wonder, Les, I hear that, and I hear the chase percentage of 93rd percentile, whiff percentage of 96th percentile. So he's showing strike with the movement. That's then not ending up a strike. The adjustment tells me batters are going to start spitting on that and then saying, I'm going to make you prove that your stuff is going to land in the zone.
Yeah, great point.
And so I do wonder what happens now if batters start doing that.
And see, that's the crunch, the nervousness, the tighten up factor, because once you start hitting 95 and up, okay, you better start respecting the velocity here. But that's even more of the play on your brain, because at 95 you don't have as much time. It doesn't seem like it, but there's a big difference between 92 and 95. There's a huge difference. You're thinking that's only 3 miles an hour. At that distance, there's a big difference in your timing and your approach and your tension in your hands and your body. And if you cheat open, you cheat the other way, you guess right, you guess wrong. But now you have a ball at 95 that starts in the zone, and then you chase, and so then you step out. Now it's that upper echelon, 95 to 100. That's that upper degree, and so now you don't have time, and you get more tighter because now you have to commit that millisecond even more, and so then you tend to chase even more than you normally would with a guy with great stuff. At 92, if he goes outside corner with a cutter. And I know he's got a cutter. It's like facing Mariano Rivera. I know he's got a cutter. It's all world. Can't do anything about it. But you get another guy that doesn't have Mariano Rivera stuff, and he throws a cutter at 92, and it starts outside corner. I'm leaving it alone, unless Angel Hernandez is behind plate. So, but yeah, I'm leaving it alone because if it doesn't cut, okay, he got me. But the odds are it's going to cut, and it's probably going to cut away, and I'm hoping the umpire knows what he's doing. Now you get a guy that starts 95 or above. I don't have the luxury, and I'm an athlete. I want to compete. I want to get after it, and I don't want to go down looking. And so throwing that 94, 95 with good movement, with you're not sure, it just forces hitters to react a little bit more. It forces them to guess a little bit more to get tension. And I think, Sterling, that is why you see the chase, the swing and miss, all those things, because you, as a hitter, you're just uncomfortable. It is great stuff, but it just forces you out of your game as a hitter.
And I do wonder, like, okay, so if they start just saying, I'm going to make you throw strikes. I see the movement and everything, but, that's down and away. And
that's where salvy behind the plate gets you.
I'm whiffing 96% of the time, and I'm chasing, or 96th percentile of whiff rate, 93rd percentile of chase. Those two things sort of coincide, I would guess, that if I'm chasing, it's not really within the zone, so it's going to be tougher to hit, and I'm swinging and missing, as opposed to, well, I'm not going to let you get ahead by swinging at something. I'm going to make you throw a strike.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where, okay, and I'm not saying he can't, because right now it's working. And if you're, he threw an absolute perfect pitch to, I can't remember who it was in the ninth, but it was a curve or a slider. I didn't look at the pitch tracks or the Statcast or anything, but he had 2 strikes on the guy. He came sinker inside, and it was fouled off, so he had 2 strikes. And he went slider or curve, low and outside, that missed by about a half inch or an inch. And I was talking to my son. I'm like, okay, now you throw it a little bit outside because it's 0-2. Throw it a little bit outside, down and away, and you let him get himself out. And the pitch comes in. I'm like, oh, that was brilliant. And my son was like, it was a ball. I said, yeah, but that hitter, you credit the hitter for laying off that, because that was barely outside. That's a tip of the cap to the hitter for not swinging at that 0-2. That was he put that, because Salvi even did the glove thing, like Freddie did the glove thing. Like, that's exactly where he wanted to put that pitch.
But that also is the smartest pitch if you miss there, because now the hitter's thinking, I might have got lucky.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to start looking over there, so you can throw it a little more off the plate because now he's in defensive mode, or you get him diving and you throw a sinker strike on the inside corner, because if you dive even a little bit at that speed, you can't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So you stand up and you jerk your body back and you take it, and then you look like a fool. So missing with that pitch opens 2 more locations up.
But I wouldn't even say that was a miss, though, right?
No, it's
like,
not a miss. I'm saying it's a ball. It's
I
not
see
a
what
miss.
you're saying. Yeah. And that gives me a little more confidence as to where, okay, well, if somebody's going to just be saying, I'm going to sit here until you can prove that you're going to throw 3 strikes with your movement, if he puts it right there exactly where he wanted to put it, because a little bit, another, inch or so inside where it's like, oh, yeah, it would have been a strike. Okay, well, now he takes it the other way.
Yeah.
Now he swings 0-2, easy swing, puts it the other way. He swings at that one a little more outside. Now he's swinging over the top, and it takes a real special talent to go outside like that and put it the other way. If he can put it right there on that curveball, which he's got a dynamite curve, then that gives me a little more faith that if the people are going, well, I'm going to make you work more to the strike zone now, I'm not going to chase as much, that, okay, well, now I'm going to take that was just outside, that I put it exactly, I hit my spot. All right, I'm going to put a little bit more into the zone, and then you're going to have to hit that's still going to have this movement.
I can't tell you how many times on a 0-2 pitch, looking back, guy paints just off the plate or something like that, and I don't flinch. I go back and look at the video, and I don't flinch, but I remember the at-bat, and you might hear an announcer say, oh, man, that's a great take. I don't know how I took that pitch. And in reality, I'm thinking, it's because I didn't see it. I just got fooled and didn't see it. And so I didn't flinch or I didn't dive because I had no idea where it was. But, yeah, I meant to do that, sure.
Damn right. Remember my name.
I will say, just going back to James MacArthur here and why I think we shouldn't even be worried about the walks and if people start to just, throw a strike. He's going to, based on his career so far. Again, he's only faced 128 batters in his career, so it's 26 games, 32 innings. Anyone want to take a gander on how many walks he has in his Major League Baseball career?
Man, I know he's in the
32 innings total.
No, he's in the low percentile of walk rate.
Just give me the actual number of
walks.
walks.
I don't 4.
I would have said 8.
3. He's walked 3 batters, 128 batters faced, 3 walks.
So he's not exactly like Stalmont with the great curveball. So it's a little different. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up the this hour with Les Norman next.
A-ball, I was battling in my first full season. I was battling for the hitting title. I was in Appleton, Wisconsin, the Appleton Foxes, and the Beloit Brewers had this third baseman who could rake. He was a pitcher out of USC who ended up hitting, and it was Jeff Cirillo,
Nice.
the 14-year big league vet.
Awesome. He's
Yeah.
coming on the show today?
Coming on the show.
That's very cool. Very cool. Les, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother.
Have a blast with you guys, man. This is awesome.
Get your PSA checked.
Yes, get your PSA. Stop being scared. Get out there.
Get out there. Get the information. Know it.
Live it.
Damn right. You got anything, Sterling?
It's good since it's good.
Take another bite.
much use for himself. This
Lebo.
he called himself.
Lebo.
Sometimes there's a man. Well, he's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there. And that's
Todd Liabo.
Kansas City.
I hate Lebo.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Todd Lebo hanging out with us. Sterling, do you like that new intro for Lebo?
Yeah, it's brand new, huh? For me? Was this for me?
Sterling.
Sorry, I enjoyed
Appreciate you listening to the show, Sterling.
You know who is
that
doing...
intro's playing and Sterling's going, dude, this intro is awesome, man. He's cracking up at each part of the way.
Big Lebowski. Well, okay, hear me out here, Jason. You know when I used to have to do my other show?
Yes, you had another show, another job, you had things, blah, 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 blah.
You know what time I couldn't listen to this?
1 o'clock Tuesdays.
From 1 to like 1 to 2, because I was doing.
It's okay. You ever heard of the Big Lebowski? You ever heard of Bob Dylan?
You ever heard of a podcast? I mean, whatever.
Sorry, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Put the song on the podcast. May not be able to.
Maybe not. You're right about that.
I have.
You're right. What did you tell him, Lebo? The intro was playing. You took your headphones off. You told Sterling to take your headphones off. And you told him something.
Cool.
Don't act like this is the first time you heard this. We've been doing this for like 4 years.
Be cool, man.
It's a new song.
Be cool, man.
Sorry, I enjoyed it. I love the Big Lebowski, and I got excited.
It's good.
I apologize.
You know what? I'm glad that you had that reaction because a number of years ago, a lot of people had that reaction when we played it for the first time. So yeah,
that's Corey's favorite thing. I think he did.
Yeah, it makes it. It sounds like it slaps. You know.
Yeah.
I could have not liked it, and then what would have happened?
I don't know. We'll see how this goes.
We'd have just gone about our business, probably.
We'll see how this Fact or Fiction goes later.
We'll see, yeah, the maiden voyage for Sterling in a Fact or Fiction coming up in the next segment. We'll find
nervous.
out. Are you? Don't mess this up, man. This is a sacred, time-honored tradition started by Corey, which may be the favorite thing that he's done, is Fact or Fiction. Handed down to Josh. Now handed down to you.
When can I get my picture?
Just so you know, is
pasted over Corey's
Actually, we still have to put
face.
Josh's picture up there over Corey's before we get to yours.
The tradition
and Dylan's gonna
of this game is that you pencil whip Jason so he doesn't win.
That's right.
He actually he let me know that.
Yep.
He told me I'm supposed to.
And whatever the score is, it's tied.
Yeah, it's tied. There's got to be a tiebreaker.
Got to have a tiebreaker.
I have the final question.
It's 2024. There's always everything's tied. Everyone gets a ribbon.
Yeah,
we're all tied.
Even if you're up by 3, it's a 4-point tiebreaker.
No
if
matter
you're up
what.
by 2, it's a 3-point tiebreaker. If everybody's tied, it's just a 1-point tiebreaker.
If it's actually tied, we don't play tiebreaker.
It's stupid. Why would you play a tiebreaker?
You flip.
Just, everybody can win.
Coin.
It gets down to draw, like the 18th tiebreaker on the NFL.
That's
draw.
right. Flip a coin, draw your name out of a hat. Todd Lebo is hanging out with us. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing good.
Good,
the sun is out. It's raining. I don't know what's going on. My brother just texted me. It's apparently pouring in Independence. I don't know. It's sunny out here. We had hail earlier.
Yeah.
Pouring beers is what he was saying. He was pouring beers in Independence.
We got a day today with some weird stuff. There were tornado warnings out like by Lawrence this morning. And it's like crazy. It's springtime.
Yeah, 10 o'clock we were getting hail at 10 o'clock. At noon it was, or 11 o'clock it was sunny.
Mm-hmm. Then it rained
at like 12:30. Then it started raining again,
sunny
and now
rain.
just clear skies. Maybe a few little popcorn clouds out there.
A little warm outside. I think this will probably rumble up some things later today.
Well, this weekend's
That's what I
be
caught this morning when I was.
This weekend's going to be like in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think I needed the 90s.
Yeah, I don't need a 90s weekend either.
I turned the air conditioner on. I'm not above it. I turned it on.
We didn't. We haven't yet.
I turned it on.
We haven't. We were close. I mean, it was so close.
Well, we were going to the Messi game Saturday night, and I knew it was going to be warm when I got home, so I turned that down before I left. I said, I'm not coming home from being outside the whole time. I don't care.
Good for you, man.
I work.
Yeah.
I'll pay for this.
Yes, I'll pay the extra 75 cents it costs to turn the air conditioning on today.
Turning it on.
Whatever it'll cost. I'm not sure.
I did not want to. Fiance did, and so we did.
It's because she gets what she wants.
Sounds like a smart move.
I've learned on Twitter, I ask my questions of what I need to do as I age, right? I ask people questions.
Asking people on Twitter for relationship advice.
It's a good idea.
You got Todd right here. Life lessons with Lebo.
I don't want you texting me all the time, so Twitter's fine.
And they said it's not a battle you should pick, and so that's fine.
Yeah, pick your battle. You know what? That's actually good advice.
I'll keep it off.
Keep
it on for her.
Yeah,
make Mama happy.
Yeah,
that is the way you do it.
Pick your battles.
That's what you do, unless it's really, really important. And I like to be cold, so
I like
turn
being
that
hot.
thing on.
Yeah,
I'll turn it on. Now, the heater,
I can't sleep if it's too hot.
the
Like if it's
heater,
too
I'm
hot,
like, I always tell you, put a blanket on. It's fine.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
care.
If it's too cold, I'll be fine. Put blankets on.
Yeah.
You know,
Too hot?
Nuzzle up. If it's too hot, I'm sitting there sweating, and it's awful. It's brutal.
Sweat
Can't do it.
baby.
Brutal.
I would dig 100 degrees year round. I
Well,
would
not
just
to sleep in.
not to sleep. But
You and Mick Schaefer.
One of
I
these
don't- whatever.
days, when I move from my 2-story house and we have
Yeah.
a
Bragger.
bedroom on the first floor,
Uh-huh.
it won't get as hot.
Oh yeah. Well, typically like
So I'm ready. I'm ready to be in a place where I don't have to worry about that.
So there's a lot of winding down as the night goes on with the kids, and it's sort of maybe upstairs in their room or our room or whatever, just hanging out. Last few nights have been downstairs in the in the main, or maybe even in the
cool.
basement. Like, oh, let's
cool this off.
Yeah, we'll wind down while we're not sweating or hot, and then when we get upstairs and go to bed.
AC on, brother.
Not yet. We saw that it was going to cool down. It's like it was 2 nights.
You can turn it right back off.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
No, that's how. It's
Yeah, we
not
got
on for the year.
We got an older one. It's an on-off switch for the year.
For the whole year?
You turn it on one time, and it's a 5-month minimum. it's a sign up. You sign up. It's a 5-month minimum to sign up for it. You turn it on. It is on.
It's on, baby.
But yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm fighting it. I'm fighting. I'm not ready. Not in.
I wasn't ready,
Not
but I
this point
did
in
it.
April. I'm not gonna
rage
do.
against the machine, and the machine is
The
the air
AC.
AC.
Yeah. You know what? If I was by myself and I was going out to that game and came back, I might have turned it on.
I was
so
just
came
going to be
back.
outdoors. I was
Yeah.
like, and then Sunday it was even hotter. I just left it on. So.
Yeah.
And it's still on now. So
Yeah.
if it gets cold, I'll turn it
It
on.
wasn't
Yeah, but if
exactly.
it doesn't get hot enough, it won't turn on. That's how it works.
Typically, that is
That's the idea.
not mine. Not
It's
mine.
just
With that
on.
one flip, it's 5 months, so it's just on. It's 50 degrees in the house. Sorry, you wanted the air conditioning on. You got it on.
My son keeps his house at like 60. I mean, it's like super cold. My wife can't even go over there. She's like, it's freezing over here. He's like, that's how I like it.
And you're like, I love going over there.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yes.
I'm getting older though. I get colder. So maybe I'm
Is
in
that
the
what
old
happens
age.
when you get
Yeah.
older? You get colder.
Thin bud.
I didn't know that's what took place.
What happens. Maybe
Todd-
it's because I've lost some pounds or something.
You look good.
By the way,
yeah, you
I
do
just
have
got back
less.
from Base Camp Fitness.
Yeah.
I am next week. I should be doing my 100th class.
No way.
They give you a T-shirt for that. So
You get a T-shirt for your 100th
100th
class.
class
That's
is- It's a
awesome.
milestone.
That's a real
I got
milestone,
90
man.
I think today was 96. So I got 4 more, and I'm not going to get 4 in this week. Today's Tuesday. So I should next week, early on, get my
to
100th
100.
class.
You look great.
Yeah, they're ready. I'm ready to
You
celebrate.
keep shrinking. So good for
I
you.
don't know about that.
Oh, you
You
do.
look strong. Your biceps actually, and this is.
Get involved
Oh
with
my
this.
goodness!
Yeah,
look at
I
that.
really-
You want a little bit of that?
I
want
hate
some of
giving
this?
Lebo credit, but
That left arm is 6 months in the hospital. That right arm's sudden death. You want to take a shot at
Which
him there,
one do you
Sterling?
want?
Which one you want? He's coming
Now
in with
my
the 1-2
shoulders,
punch.
question: Why
Those
is
are
one
old.
stronger, Jason?
Because it's your dominant arm.
Okay.
That's right. You know, it's the
Open
one you
the
shoot
door
layups
with the
with.
one.
You know, the one you throw a baseball with. The one you
Right
open
with.
doors with.
I
Right
tried
with.
to throw
etc.
something right now. My shoulder may pop out. I swung a golf club a few times on Saturday, and my right shoulder shouldn't feel funny on the golf swing.
No, it shouldn't.
As a right-handed golfer, shouldn't.
No, it should
But
not.
it did. I don't know.
I was doing something wrong. I'm guessing my mechanics somehow
Well,
were
I
messed
wasn't
up.
hitting it in the air at the beginning, but it got around a little bit.
A little
so
worm burner.
I was hoping to get a worm. Hoping to get a worm.
getting it
but yeah,
off.
class 100 coming up next week.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
It's be great. It's be great.
Congratulations, man. Todd Lebo is our guest here. Maybe I should check out Base Camp Fitness. I don't know.
I'm telling you.
Probably should
You should get over there and get yoked up.
try to get back in shape. I've been doing some intermittent fasting.
There you
been
go.
trying that. I'm doing the what is it? 15 and 9. So
What's your open window when you eat?
so 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
That's
so
your eating window?
I don't eat until 9 a.m. and then I don't eat after 6 p.m. So then 15 hours of fasting every day.
like normal people.
No, normal people can eat after 6.
Oh,
they
I-
eat
I
before
snack,
9
yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
You know
What?
I was trying to do that.
You've never eaten before 9 o'clock, or
I'm pretty much 9 to dinner, whenever dinner time is. I
So
don't-
when's dinner time?
It
Is it at
depends.
7?
Sometimes it's
Sometimes it's
5:30.
8. Sometimes it's 5:30. Right? Yeah.
don't snack
so after
after
6
dinner?
o'clock. So
No,
after
I'm
6
not a-
o'clock,
I'm
what
not a
happens?
snacker.
Well, that's why he's skinny.
Right,
He's not a
so-
snacker.
So after 6 o'clock,
bourbon,
what happens?
and
then?
bourbon counts.
The bourbon counts.
Does bourbon?
Yes.
I'm
Bourbon
bourbon.
counts.
I'm
There you
drinking my
go.
bourbon. Okay.
Bourbon and beer
Yeah.
count.
Yes, it counts. Those are calories.
No, bourbon and beer do not count.
Zero
Come on.
calorie drinks after 6 o'clock.
Well, how many calories are in bourbon? Okay, there's some good
Enough.
health
More than
benefits.
one.
More than 0.
Do we know this?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm pretty positive
There's
bourbon
no
has
carbs, but there's calories.
yes, more than.
There's good health qualities in it.
But see,
sure
it's
there
the
are.
it's the start though.
Yeah.
It's the start, the 15 and 9, and then
was trying-
eventually
I was
you go
doing-
to like 18 and 6.
I was doing 11 to like 8
Mm-hmm.
was better for me, and I can go to 11 no problem without eating.
Yeah.
But it's even like 8. I'm like, if I'm awake,
Okay,
snack cabinet's calling.
That's been the most
Make
difficult
hot
part.
tea instead.
The most difficult
With
part is
bourbon.
after 6 o'clock for me.
Yeah.
It's like
Calories
8
in a glass of bourbon,
Yes.
97.
see there you go. It's
Not
100
bad.
calories. You know what I'm not
200 calories.
You know what I'm not
Not
picking up
bad.
after 6 o'clock? 100 calories.
Well, it's 200, but it's not bad. It's not. That's not.
You should maybe just go 10 to 7. Give you some wiggle room.
Right.
Well,
but
you 9:30.
9 o'clock is that I get some food, so I get a little bit of energy
for the show.
10 for the
9:30
show.
to 6:30. That's the smarter move.
Yeah, it does give me some leeway at
Little
6:30,
30
but
minutes.
with
I see a
guaranteed
couple
foods,
of
Val.
baseball practice or something.
With guaranteed,
you know,
but see, with baseball practice, boom, we're eating much earlier. Like he had 5:45 game last night. We're eating at 4:45.
Okay.
Got to be in the field at 5 o'clock. We're done eating at 4:45.
what you don't want is a
But then-
5 o'clock game.
See, and the problem is with the 5:45 game, and then we're done eating at 4:45. Now 8:30, 9 o'clock is a little bit different hunger that comes along with it.
5:57
On that
rolls.
day, you got to start your window at 7:30. I need a little more.
Probably right. Yes.
5:57 rolls around, and Jason is just crushing all of
Whatever.
the bags of chips.
Yes.
He
That's
goes
fine.
to he
Are you
goes
out
to
coaching?
the snack machine.
What's up?
Do you coach out there? Are you
Yeah.
coaching first base or
Third-
something?
third base coach,
Third base coach, and you just got a little alarm on your watch. It's 5:58. A little protein bar
Take
comes
a little
out.
pow.
Finish it right there.
Turn it up. Turn it up. On the back. On.
Or in Sterling's case, a little bourbon.
A little bourbon.
Little bourbon. What's
Why
wrong?
don't you turn next time?
Jason,
you
I
don't have
handle
to-
my alcohol very well.
Where's secondary? You know
So-
secondary? You don't know what secondary is? What are you, 5?
I've told this story on the air
Stupid
maybe
dummy.
10, 12 years ago. I don't know what, but there was a baseball game. My son, who's now 27, he was probably 10, 11, I don't know, rec league out in Lee Summit. And there was a coach on the other team who had more than one bourbon.
Oh, no.
And it got ugly. He was yelling at his own son
Oh, no.
because, like, the ball went through his legs. And
I should have put his glove down.
well, our team wasn't very good, and we ended up scoring a couple runs, and they only won by like 8 instead of 14 or something. And he was like, "That's on you, Tanner," or something like that. And everyone could hear it. And it was like, after the game, the other coach, like, they almost got like in a fight because they over behind third base, and we went and shook hands, and it got physical over there, and I was an assistant coach on our team. I go over to our parents and say, "It's time to leave.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on over there. I appreciate all of you guys for not, doing
Engaging?
this, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
He
It's
was
on
like,
you, Tad. Knock on this here can. Come
it's like
on,
they were going to
Tanner.
run rule them, and then we had to play an extra half inning or something.
Show 'em
and-
what you're made
oh
of.
my God, it was something. And
Show
I
'em
think
what
that
it
guy,
takes to play for the Panthers.
he ended up getting like banned from
Pat Dad.
like what was the Legacy Park out there? At least somebody got banned from that for like a year. I think.
See, I
don't
grew up with Lee
remember all.
McKegan. I
And
don't know
then he
about
ended
that.
up
Oh,
Legacy
Lee
Park.
McKeegan's a skate park now, bro.
Yeah, I
They
had
no more
no
baseball.
idea.
He played
Yeah.
some games there, but now that's just a beautiful little park where you
No idea.
walk on trails. They got a skate park there. All
Really?
this stuff at Lee McKeegan. Y'all play baseball out at Legacy now.
Yeah.
I think the White Sox might be calling that guy though for a managerial job. I wouldn't be surprised.
Could
yeah.
be.
It-
I mean,
you know,
he would fit right in the South Side. We've already seen William Legay Jr. would come out and get after
Man, that's the
Tom Gamboa.
second time today we've mentioned Tom Gamboa.
Why not?
Because Sterling said, I feel bad for White Sox fans. I said, I don't. Not since that day.
Not since that day.
Not since that. And another couple texters like, well, Tim Anderson. Absolutely. You know what? All of
Tom
them.
Gamboa, all of them.
All of them. Every one of them. I'll never feel bad for a White Sox
Who was
fan.
it was Aaron Giordano
Rowand?
hit him. Aaron Rowan? Was that
No, Aaron-
it was the second baseman, and then they had to fight. Giordano, what was that guy's? Oh my.
Not Brett Lowry, right?
No.
No, it wasn't Brett Lowry.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, we'll eventually find it. Maglio Ordonez, all of them.
Yeah.
Hate all of them. He killed the Royals
Paul
every year.
Canerco.
Oh
No.
man, Maglio just like it didn't
Mark
matter where
Burley.
didn't matter where the pitch was. Maglio would put it in next to the Royals Hall of Fame
If
and
they
the
had a
frickin'
AJ
bullpen out there.
Przinsky.
Oh,
AJ
everybody hates
Przinsky.
him.
Yeah, Przinsky is like hated by everybody though. It's not just a White Sox thing, But yes, it made it easier
What
to hate
what
him.
about Frank Thomas? Because Frank
He was
Thomas,
fine.
he seemed like a decent guy.
He was fine. I mean, I liked Frank Thomas, just because of how big he was, and it was sort of the specimen, right?
What about Scott Podsednik before he became a Royals legend?
I hated him with the White Sox. Good guy with the Royals. I have no idea if he's a good guy. No idea. Wasn't out
The,
there
the
about
Mark Teehan White Sox era was strong.
Yeah, Mark Teehan got me about as close as you'll ever have me rooting for the White Sox.
Juan Uribe? What did Juan Uribe do for you?
Nothing.
Okay.
He did nothing. It's like, what do you think about Juan Uribe? I don't. So
You don't think about him?
No. Why would you? Who thinks about Juan Uribe?
Decently often.
Do you really? What
once
is
in a
about Juan Uribe that gets your mind racing?
He helped you with the fantasy league once.
He played a long time, and
Adam Eaton.
Adam Eaton. That's
That
what it
was the guy.
Yeah.
That was the guy. That was a big fight.
Yeah.
That was a big fight.
To heck with them all.
I forgot about him with the White Sox. I just remember him with the Nationals.
Yeah.
Well, he was with the White Sox fighting Yordano Ventura.
Now you got, Nicky Lopez. I like Nicky Lopez, a player. It's fine. Yeah, that's
Long-time Royal Benintendi.
Benintendi. You got the remains of Benintendi over
Chris
there.
Getz, dude, come on.
Yeah. No,
He's assembled quite a team.
Believe me. I am a fan of Chris Getz. Make no mistake. I am a huge fan of Chris Getz and what he's doing.
I love that Chris Getz went after basically the same guy as him, Chris Getz with a good eye, which is Nicky Lopez.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
you know what?
you know,
Sometimes you see yourself in other players, and you're like, you know what? I want that. That guy's really good, so let's bring him in.
They've
Clearly
spent a
makes
lot
a
of money on
difference.
some really good Latin players over the years, and they don't seem to stay healthy. And
Luis Robert yet
through.
again gets injured. Eloy
Shocker.
Jimenez.
Shocker. They go sign Tommy Pham, who, he won. He was in the World Series
when
last
they moved
year.
to Nashville, it'll be something.
Nashville Sox. That's right.
What
Todd
color
Lebo.
then? What color would the Sox be in Nashville?
They still be White Sox.
He could still be the White
White
Sox.
Sox.
Sure they could.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Sure they could.
It's country.
They'd change their name White Boots.
White boots. There it is. Yeah. White Wranglers.
Yeah.
Oklahoma would be the Red Dirt Sox.
Yeah. Oh, filthy, dirty socks.
That's right.
Doesn't come out. You shouted out socks.
No, the White Chaps.
Chaps.
The
that would be
Nashville,
good.
the White Chaps.
That's good.
Nashville, the White
Strong.
Chaps.
Broncos cheerleaders.
There
White
you go.
Chaps.
Yeah, the Texas Longhorn cheerleaders.
Don't talk about it. You gonna bring them up?
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing right with it.
Horns down. We'll take a time and we'll come back and we'll play Fact or Fiction with Todd Lebo. We'll see what Sterling has to offer today. More Zone next. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Todd Lebo. Don't do that, Todd. Todd's trying to grab the computer, see the answers that are there.
I don't have my glasses.
I was told I was supposed to. I was supposed to let Todd see him. He told me before the show that the rule was I let him watch.
I have often wondered if that is the rule. I have often wondered that.
Always played it clean.
That's right. And it's always on the up and up. Everything is exactly scored the way that it should be scored.
Fact or fiction?
Yes.
Your first time ever.
Yes. Are you excited? You pumped? You scared? You nervous?
All of the above.
That's
all
it.
of the
That's-
emotions,
those are right.
I
That's-
feel them.
It's the right answer. It's absolutely the right answer. Now, we all go around the room after Sterling gives us the question. We say if it's fact or fiction. Sterling then decides if it is fact or fiction, and if we got it right, we get a point. And whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win, unless, of course, the odds say we'll be tied, and then we have a tiebreaker question that we'll have to have after this round. In honor of Sterling's first time and Todd being in here, should we start with Todd?
I'll start with me.
Let's just start with
I'm
Todd.
ready to go.
Let's start with Todd, and then Dylan, and then I'll go third.
We'll go around
let's
that
go
way.
that way.
Let's do that way every time.
Let's just do that. Should we do it that way every time?
Every time.
I wrote it down different though.
Too bad.
On
Too
my
bad. You have to
paper.
change it.
Too late. Todd goes first. We
Pen.
decided that. We decided to change it up today.
All right, fact or fiction? Bobby Witt Jr. ends up top 3 in the MVP voting. Lebo.
It's tough to do in Kansas City. American League MVP. That's what we're talking about here.
Top 3.
I mean, Shohei's gone. That's a help.
Yeah.
Mike Trout is raking though, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
for now.
he'll win, and then whatever, and they'll lose.
We'll see how many
87 games.
We'll see how many games Mike Trout plays. this year.
Okay, yeah, let's just say sure. Yeah, fact.
Dylan.
Yeah, I'll go fact.
I'm going to go fact, even though my ZOU was that he wouldn't finish in the top 5, because not only is he doing this, but you've got MLB Network doing segments about
Yeah,
Bobby Witt Jr.
He's getting some love.
So I'm going to say fact. What do you say?
That is a fact.
There
Top
we go.
3.
All
right,
I
there we
originally
go.
had top 5, and I go, that's just too easy. Everyone's going top 5. Top 3. He's currently third. Or he's either second or third in a lot of sports books odds for MVP right now.
Well, they're winning games too. That helps. Yeah.
Exactly. They're winning games. Nationally, people are
They just
talking
aren't
about
going to
them.
get to play the White Sox every day.
That sucks, though. They should totally play the White Sox every
It would
game.
be great.
Need to take these next 2. Take these next 2. Feel good about it. Sit there 13-6, getting ready for a 19-game stretch that is going to be difficult.
Yeah, with no White Sox.
With no White
The
Sox.
White Sox free stretch.
Oh, man. I don't want to imagine life like that. Dylan, you're up on this one. You ready?
Fiction.
You have to ask
Go
the
ahead,
question.
I was like, what am I? Is he asking me a question now?
No,
fact
Dylan-
or fiction?
There we go, Dylan.
Cole Reagans ends the year with an ERA under 3.25.
Ooh, give me fact.
I'm going to go fact on that one, too. I don't even know what's his
What's he at
like
right
2
now?
something?
3.25. I think that's doable for him because you are going to hopefully. The White
got
Sox,
No, he's got a 1.93 right now.
193, and he's already 5 starts in. 4 starts.
4 starts in.
And he has struggled in. He has not struggled
Sure,
in a
let's
couple starts.
fact that.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. He will end up with a 3.25 ERA
Or better.
better.
Boy, if it was exactly 3.25, I'm going to say fiction, but
I'd still say fact. He's right on it.
See, you
Sterling
guys,
knows.
you
We're
guys
tied
all
up.
said facts, correct?
Yep.
Wow, I'm
It's
apparently giving these
2-2.
way too easily. I thought
2-2.
we'd get some movement here.
all tied at 2. It's early.
Well, we're scared. We also play the game here. You know, you don't want to.
Yeah.
The Chiefs will draft a left tackle in either the first or second round.
I'm going to say that's a fact. Well, hold on. Does it have to be specifically a left tackle?
Tackle.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
say tackle.
All right. Cool. I just want to make sure.
First or second
Because that's
round.
where Josh and Corey would try to get you.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Not yet.
That,
You'll
that's-
get there.
With
Well, I'll just-
experience.
we want to have someone to say something
Fact.
different. I'll just say fiction.
Idiot.
I don't believe it, but I'm saying it.
Yeah, fact.
It's a fiction. That's fiction.
What?
Yeah,
No
fiction.
way.
In the first 2 rounds, they're not taking a tackle. Sorry.
Wow.
Is that
Okay.
how your board falls?
Not how my board falls.
Okay. So
So
Sterling
someone's in first place.
took 3 questions
it's
for
me.
Sterling to be totally wrong. All right. Only 3.
No, that's. I'm looking actually. No, that was fiction. That was fiction. I am correct. Sorry about that, Jason.
Lebo leads
We'll
us off.
find out next week. Won't we?
Maybe
Yeah.
get better. Rush is the greatest rock band of all time.
Fiction.
In honor of me wearing my
Todd
my
on
Rush
principle
shirt.
alone just says fiction.
I mean, it's great. Not of
But I
all
mean, it's
time.
Iron Maiden, AC/DC. I
Yeah.
get, yeah. Rush, greatest rock band of all time, fact or fiction?
Yeah, I gotta go fiction as well.
Since I don't really have a strong opinion either way, I'm just going to go and follow the crowd at chow time. I'm going to say fiction.
You're all wrong. You're all wrong. Rush is the greatest rock band of all time.
I should have gone fact just based on your shirt.
If you would have said they're the greatest rock trio of all time.
Sure, trio's too easy, though.
No, that's not too easy.
It's pretty easy.
Not pretty.
Like, you know me, big Iron Maiden guy.
Yeah.
I love me some Dream Theater and AC/DC and GNR.
Yeah,
and
who doesn't?
Here's the deal. You're just wrong about this.
Who? Name.
By what?
Wilco.
Led Zeppelin's great.
Wilco.
Led Zeppelin's better than Rush.
No,
This
it's
just
the
in.
only close one.
Wilco.
It's close one is
The
Zeppelin.
Rolling Stones are better than Rush.
No, they're not.
Yes.
Paint It Black, awesome. The Who, I can listen to Squeezebox all day. But you give me my if I had my druthers.
I'm not giving you your druthers.
Give me Rush. 2112 is an absolute masterpiece. The entire album,
Yeah.
Moving Pictures.
It's great.
I think
Forget about 1990 to
Led Zeppelin has 5 albums better than that.
Debatable.
Boston has the best. What we
Wait,
say?
the
The
best
best
debut
release
album of all time.
debut.
Boston's
Boston's
debut album is
maybe
phenomenal.
the best one of all time.
Okay.
What about Snow, Informer? That debut was pretty badass.
That
That
song.
had the song
yeah.
on it.
You know, so it's nobody I could blame. I leaky boom boom down.
I leaky boom boom down.
Where's Rush with the leaky
Informa.
boom boom down? Not anywhere
Yeah,
near.
they're talking about like dragons or something.
It's just
I
a
don't
bad
know.
take. So
No,
move on.
it's not really a take. It's again.
That's
I'm,
a fact. I saw it on PBS.
yeah.
It's a fact. It's on
I'll
PBS.
tell you this: we're only 4 questions in, so let's rush this along.
Yeah.
And to the
Let's go.
yeah, Dylan leads us off.
Michael Garcia is the leadoff hitter in July. Fact or fiction?
That's a good one. It's a good one, Coach Jones.
I'll go fact. I think I'll turn it around.
Without coming up with an obvious replacement, I'm going to say fact.
I think the way that the new way they do it, they want Bobby to hit more, so they're hitting. Yeah, it's the way to do it. Have him go 1-2. Old school, I would say he's their 2-hitter, but I'll say fact.
It's actually fiction.
Is it?
It's false.
I think
who's their
MJ
leadoff?
Melendez will eventually move back to the leadoff spot. He's getting
wow,
on base
okay.
at a great clip, and Michael Garcia, even throughout it last year, we kept saying, "Oh, look how solid he is." And it's not on base at a leadoff position.
Yeah,
So
we'll find out. Okay, how about that? Okay, back-to-back ones when everybody was
failing.
wrong.
yeah, you guys are
Okay.
not very good at this game. Hall and Oates can be considered yacht rock. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say that's an obvious fact.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, fact.
That's a fact.
thank
That's
God.
a fact.
I just threw a dart.
Not all the songs, but
No,
there's
not
enough
all,
of them
but
that
there's
you can
enough
put
where you
in.
can say
Yeah.
Hall and Oates, because my playlist for yacht rock is actually called Hall and Boats.
Yeah. But if you're listening to yacht rock, you will hear a Hall and Oates song.
You're gonna hear Hall and Oates. Yes, not Christopher Cross.
I
but
mean, it's not
you'll-
like the Doobie Brothers or something, Michael McDonald, but
yeah,
it's-
Micah McDonald is in every yacht rock song. I'm pretty sure, just singing backups
Yeah,
somewhere,
somehow.
Donovan. Okay, right now we have Dylan at 3, Jason at 3, Lebo at 4.
Let me just go on record here that I'm not excited about the early trend here of there being these music questions because that is totally outside of
You
my
know music. You love music.
No, that is outside of
It's
my
what you
comfort zone.
do.
And Todd is right here now.
I missed his
He
answer.
I was going to say
missed the
maybe the
I'm
differing of
literally
opinions.
wearing a Rush shirt
I
right
know.
now.
I should
By
have
the
gone
way-
with that one.
The
What?
tour's fine, but Snakes and Arrows,
Solid album, no 7. Solid album.
solid.
It was solid. Again, it wasn't Moving Pictures or 2112 or
Or as
Hemispheres.
good as any Led Zeppelin record.
This is 07. Where was Led
Or as-
Zeppelin's
or
new
as
music
good
in
as Led
07,
Zeppelin's
guy?
worst.
They stopped making records when John Bonham died. Sorry.
Well,
Let's go. Who's up?
Todd's up.
fact or fiction, Donovan Smith is brought back to the Chiefs before the start of the season.
That's a fiction.
I'll go fact.
I'm going to go fact.
That is a fact.
All right, we're all tied now.
That's a fact.
Jack.
All tied up at 4. Actually, it's 4-4. Jason has 3.5. He only gets a half.
That's right.
No, it's
That
4
is
4
a
4.
fact.
What?
It's inexplicable.
It is.
He understands the game now.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it's early.
The 76ers finally get over the hump and make it to the NBA Finals. Fact or fiction?
Dylan?
Oh, fiction.
Yeah, fiction.
Absolute fiction.
Even I, as a 76ers man, that is fiction.
It's fiction.
Buddy
That's
Hield will be
fiction.
the difference.
I do like Buddy.
I know. See, that's an NBA thing. I knew he plays for them now.
He's nailed it. Look at you over there.
Right?
Tobias Harris.
Right?
awesome.
He does? Okay, he does. Yeah.
I like Tyrese Maxey and Embiid, but
Is Embiid, how many times will he play?
yeah, he's come on, they're not making it.
The real difference maker is that Michael Porter Jr. kid.
Michael Jr. Porter, get it right.
Sorry about that. And the real difference maker when it comes to the books is that Jonte Porter fella.
Absolutely.
Beat me to it, honestly.
Sorry.
Right there.
Jonte is
Well
really
done.
making an impact in the NBA.
Well done.
We have 2 questions left before the tiebreaker. The previous SNL with Ryan Reynolds and Chris Stapleton was overrated.
This is me, right? Oh,
Fact
no,
or
this is
fiction?
Todd. This is Todd.
Fact?
No,
Or
this is me.
fiction?
This is me. We started with Dylan.
Yeah.
I didn't watch all of it. I only watched the Weekend Update part of it and the Beavis and Butthead. Based on that, I'm going to say that is a fiction because Beavis and Butthead was a brilliant sketch. So, fiction.
I think this smells like he thinks it's overrated.
Yeah,
so
it
I would
does.
say fact, it's overrated.
Yeah, I'll go fact just because I don't watch Saturday Night Live and it's all overrated mostly.
You
so-
boys are dumb. It's fiction.
Yeah.
That was such
It
a
was
good
hilarious,
episode. I
yeah.
mean,
It was funny. I
I'm
watched most of it.
I watched the whole thing last night. We just turned it on. Oh, hilarious. Beavis and Butthead, incredible.
That's how you know
Beavis.
Sterling's getting old. It's
He sat around on a
Tuesday,
Monday night and watched
Tuesday or Monday Night Live.
watched Saturday Night Live.
It was
What
good.
time did you start at 5?
Watched Saturday Night
It was
Taped.
about 9. It was
Are
about-
you up at 9? That's
and then
later
we
were
finished
up.
and I read a book afterwards. It was
This
nice.
is the sign that he's getting old. I mean, there's plenty that have happened well
Yeah.
before this one.
So we have one more.
I mean, all of those Rush albums he just named. And
Snakes and arrows.
that's
It's
one
solid, okay? It's a
Is there any song that's ever been played on the radio?
Far Cry.
When's the last time it's been played on the radio?
I don't know. I was playing in my car on the drive in.
Now, that's off you and your little playlist of bad Rush
I
songs.
like the recording too. It sounds crisp with the drum sound.
Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where would you put that on the list of Rush songs?
Rush songs way
50th?
down there. Yeah.
100?
Because they have absolute bangers down there.
Yeah. Well, none of them after 1984.
It's debatable. Highly debatable.
We'll talk about it off the air.
I say have the conversation right now, and then the other 10 people are going to be
Texters,
pumped
weigh
about
in on this.
it. Please.
I think
Tell
I'm
me
wrong.
if Rush is the greatest freaking band of all time.
No, greatest
Isn't Curtis,
rock band.
Isn't Curtis a big
He
Rush
loves
fan?
Rush, but he would even say it's not the greatest rock band of all time.
Curtis?
He can't hear you.
Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis. Curtis.
We need you in here.
Curtis. Okay,
gonna
now
walk in. He's
he's
walking.
running in now.
He's
just joking.
he's
He's not running
very. That's a 4.2 speed.
Yeah.
What is the last
4-2-1.
question?
Is
while
that
Curtis
is that
While
Xavier
Curtis is-
worthy? Okay, chocolate chip cookies
I
are
don't know
the.
it. No, wait a
Oh,
second.
we gotta wait
Curtis
for
here now.
Yeah, Curtis
He's
is in here,
Xavier
but
worthy.
Now we got to think of.
Curtis, fact or fiction? Rush is the greatest rock band of all time.
Fiction.
Oh,
There you go.
boom!
Even Curtis.
Dude,
Even
it's fact.
Curtis.
It's fact.
Even Curtis went fiction that quickly to you.
It's fact.
And Curtis is a huge Rush fan.
Bam!
It's not the
There you go.
Beatles. Led Zeppelin is close. Okay. Led Zeppelin
Beatles, Led
is
Zeppelin, Rolling
close.
Stones,
Yeah.
all
Here's
better.
a hot take. Beatles,
Wilco.
underrated.
Underrated. Boom.
Beatles are underrated? Beatles are overrated. I'm sorry.
Not a bug guy. Not a bug
You know
guy.
who's overrated? Rush.
They're rated just perfectly. Overrated by Sterling, but
Curtis ran in here like he's Xavier Worthy. I mean, that was fast.
Yeah.
That's a.
You're
you know,
talking about Rush.
That's a big man that moves.
And you're discounting and disrespecting the Beatles.
what about these cookies?
Third
What's the
rounder.
question?
I'm
There's
spinning,
gotta be
I'm
some
spinning
chocolate
a
chip
third
cookies.
rounder on K as a interior defensive lineman. Chocolate cookies.
chocolate cookies or chocolate chip
chip.
cookies?
Chocolate chip cookies.
Is that the difference?
Chocolate chip cookies are the best cookies. Fact or fiction?
For
Todd?
me,
Yeah.
they're not, but I do love them. I will say it's fiction.
Yeah, I'll go fiction too.
I think an easy response would be fact, but there's so many out there. I think it's a fact, but I'm going to go fiction just based on so many different types.
It's clearly fiction. Chocolate chip cookies are the Derek Jeter of cookies. They're good.
They're
good cookies.
They're biracial angels.
They're overrated. They're overrated. Horrendous defensively. Sorry,
bad-
no
bad
range.
fielding.
They're the rush of cookies.
They're Jason Sanderson. I will jump over here. Okay, because hear me out. There's no range in chocolate chip cookies, just like Derek Jeter. They're overrated. Okay, like
He's got no range.
the analytics do not like chocolate chip cookies that
So
much.
what's your
They're
favorite?
just solid.
Snickerdoodle? Snickerdoodle is
Snickerdoodle's
per-
good. I like peanut butter cookies.
The
Though.
Peanut butter's
is
great, too.
Macadamia
Oatmeal-
nut is pretty underrated.
And the new
Macadamia,
stuff now with
Monster.
this
Monster cookies.
these
yeah.
modern
Them all.
things with the
Throw
M&Ms
some M&Ms in there.
They
instead
didn't do
of
that back in the day.
Yeah,
when I
Guaranteed
was a
Foods
kid.
has M&M,
M&Ms?
cookies.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
looks like we are all tied.
at 7-6-6.
I have it as 666 right now.
And of course you do.
Iron Maiden.
I've got it at
Iron Maiden,
7-6-6.
So what is the ponderance that we have to do during
Okay,
the break?
so
Yes,
give us the
question.
tiebreaker.
We answered it after the break.
What's the tiebreaker question?
Tiebreaker
Also,
is...
by the way, I misled Sterling. I told him we had 10 questions, but we actually have 12.
Yeah.
So we only did 10 today. It's 12. That's my fault. But anyway, go ahead.
You told me 10.
I know. That's what I said. I told you 10. That was my fault.
You followed the instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did exactly what you were told to do.
well.
And
fact.
you changed my score to somehow it be tied with them.
That's
I won,
fine,
but that's okay.
We instructed you to do that.
That's
so
exactly. You're
fine.
following direct. You're very
Final
coachable.
question.
Very coachable.
I last longer than Briscoe as Jason's co-host. Fact or fiction?
God, you put that qualifier on there. All right. 3, 2, and 1.
Oh, God.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Todd Lebo hanging out with us. One more segment. We head up until 2 o'clock tonight. We got the NBA playoffs play-in game, the second of the two in the Western Conference, Golden State, Sacramento, right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB for you. 6:30 tonight, Lakers and Pelicans. We'll get the play-in games started. Sterling, you asked.
We're all tied up.
Yeah, we're all tied up at 7 to 6 to 6. Sterling asked the tiebreaker question that now is worth 2 points, depending on who gets it right.
You know what? 5.
We'll see. We'll see.
Score it up however you want.
You asked if you can last longer than Briscoe as being a part of this show.
Yeah, as in this job.
And the zone
Fact
in
or
this,
fiction,
in this
I
job.
last longer than Briscoe.
At this job. And let's see, I'm leading, so I'll go last.
So let me, yeah, you hold the answer, probably.
I can.
What's our number here? It's a hard time mixing these things
How
in my
long
head.
did
So
Corey last?
Corey was summer of 19 or August or whatever.
19 to 22.
22, so, but not quite 3 years. It was almost
it was
3.
almost
2 and
3
3
years.
quarters. They left at the beginning of the summer, right?
And Josh was about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
So the trend says no.
The trend says it's half of the previous guy.
Yeah, so you got about 9 months.
Nine
But
months.
here's, I will say that's a fact because you buck trends.
Ooh, wow.
Because
Okay.
you think Rush is the greatest rock band of all time.
Clearly, you're not a conformist.
Fact.
Dylan?
I'll go fact.
Silence.
I'll
He
go
rips
fact.
it.
Dang,
No,
Dylan's
no,
like,
I was reaching
Yeah,
for the
fact.
button.
Ah,
No.
fact. I don't know.
Well, I want to win this one, so I'm going to go fiction, and I can pretty much, I can guarantee you, Sterling, that this is fiction.
well,
It's
I'll
fact.
see
It's
you
fact, damn
guys
it.
next time.
It's fact.
It is a fact.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, or you owe me $7,000. That was the deal we made. Said you can come on, but if you last longer than last less than a year and a half, you owe me $7,000. And
You have a financial
obligation.
advantage.
Yeah.
You can do this.
I don't remember signing that
You don't
contract.
remember that?
Oh, you didn't read the fine print. Oh,
No.
You didn't
well,
look.
you didn't give
look.
it to your lawyer. No, sounds like a you problem.
It sounds like your problem, buddy.
You deal
I
with
gave
fine
it
print
to-
all day.
I gave it to Chiefsaholic's lawyer. Somehow he missed it, allegedly.
How could he possibly?
It's weird. Xavier. He looked at you and he wrote down Xavier Holmes.
Yeah.
This is for Xavier Holmes, right?
That was A-Rod's lawyer, actually. The people that bought the Timberwolves were the ones that looked over your contract.
Ah,
They just-
yes,
They missed
yes.
that
I
little
knew
portion.
it. I knew it. You see, A-Rod wrote the little write-up for Patrick Mahomes in the Time magazine, 100 most influential people.
Oh, by the way, congrats to Dylan for winning the game.
How did he win? But we're tied.
No,
We
Dylan-
all- we
Dylan
all stay
won.
tied.
It was Dylan and Todd were tied at 6.
No, Dylan won. He beat you. That question was
Yeah, but
3 for Dylan, 1 for each
okay.
of you.
Oh, well,
Oh.
Congratulations, Dylan. You won.
okay, I didn't know. Wow. Okay, now really working a little bit different now. Well, I'll tell you what. Now I am going to make sure that is fiction.
He's learning on the job. He's doing fine.
He's gonna be okay. You
Hey,
know.
little reminder, kind of what's happening this week.
Yeah.
There will be a pre-draft presser for the Chiefs. It'll probably happen sometime during the zone on Thursday. We don't have an exact time yet, but we'll hear from Brett Veach, and he will say exactly who they're going to pick, or if they don't pick, how they're going to trade and who they're going to trade with. He will tell us all that on Thursday, or else he won't.
Or yeah, you know, every single thing. It's like
Probably
yeah.
won't. But
All
I
right,
can't believe the draft is like here. Next
9
week.
days. 9 days away from the draft.
It just seems like this offseason.
Feels like it was a couple weeks away when we were getting ready for it here in Kansas City. And
Yeah.
I was watching the draft with Tommy Townsend standing next to me. And now he's not even standing in the city as a member
And
of
I
the
saw
Chiefs anymore.
the tweet today. Today's the anniversary of Tom Brady getting drafted.
Oh,
So
really?
they used to draft.
April 16th.
Yeah, they used to be a little bit earlier because he was not a first day. I don't know if you heard the story. He was picked late.
He was picked.
Wait, no
what?
way he wasn't 1-1.
No, he was 6th, right?
He was.
He was picking the 6th pick.
He was 6th
He
round.
was taken
but,
in the 6th pick.
yeah,
there were
things-
5 picks ahead of him that he hated.
The calendar is so wild now with Super Bowl being a little bit later, and this is a very late Super Bowl this year, obviously, and then the draft. You know, it's been about this time, but it's been in the teens before, but now it's
Yeah.
a little later.
It's
Alex,
my birthday, by the way. First day of the draft's on my birthday.
Oh,
about that?
Turned
congratulations!
30.
Another reason to not
Chiefs did
care.
it for my. Thanks, Jason. Chiefs did it for my.
For birthday?
Yeah.
They're going to trade out of the
Love
first
you,
round for your
Sterling.
birthday?
Love you, Sterling.
Trade out of the
Do
first
you,
round.
Jason?
I do.
Do you?
This is how men show love and affection. Okay, this is how. By the way, A-Rod wrote the excerpt for Patrick Mahomes in the Times 100 Most
He didn't write the
Influential
whole
People.
story just yet.
No, but he said, I distinctly remember giving him the worst advice ever. Quote, "Don't play football. The money's in baseball." Said, "I'm happy to be wrong and glad he didn't listen."
There's a lot of money in baseball, too.
There is. I mean, he wasn't.
Not as easy to get it, but
Yeah, he
it's
was wrong
there.
about don't play baseball because he's making a lot of money in football, but he ain't wrong about there's money in
Guaranteed baseball something. You have money in baseball, guaranteed.
Guaranteed Foods is
Fact.
too.
Fact.
You're darn right. By Todd.
Bye.